Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the JESS MARSHALL Podcast. This week, I've got a treat for you. A little play on words there with Organically Addison. This podcast is going to be awesome, talking about cooking, biohacking, substitute ingredients, as well as battling through adversity, being resourceful, finding another way, and thinking for yourself and joy. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the JESS MARSHALL Podcast. Wow. Mark that swipe. Bring it. So how long do some of those videos take you to put together, edit, and put up? Because they're really well done.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So when I make a recipe, I write down the recipe that I'm, thinking of making, go to the grocery store, get all the stuff, come back, make the recipe. So I am filming every step.
Yeah.
I'm carefully measuring everything out, writing down notes as I go. And I have my phone set up on a tripod, like overhead. So it's like a hands and pans style video.
Do you get the manicure on your way home? So
I actually do my own because I'm constantly washing dishes and banging them, and it would get real expensive if I. Got them done.
That's a write-off. So
right, true.
You'd be good to go there.
Hair, nails.
Yeah. You can't do a cooking video if you have mechanic's hands.
True.
Like you can't change the oil on your work truck, then go make pumpkin chocolate chip brownies. People would just be like, I don't know, man.
Right.
I don't know.
Those pumpkin brownies, though, those are good.
Yeah,
those are one of my favorites.
Pumpkin is clutch. I feel like people underrate it. Well, Starbucks doesn't. Are you a pumpkin spice person, though?
So I actually don't drink coffee, but everything else pumpkin,
See,
I love.
Sohail doesn't drink coffee either.
Really?
I was going to tell you, I've had coffee 3 times this week.
What are you doing?
Mm-hmm. But I drink one latte, probably a single, maybe a double shot.
See, he's open.
8 to 12 hours. So.
Coffee's a gateway, bro.
You milk it. Yeah.
No,
it's a lot.
It goes coffee, month, meth. Mm-hmm. That's what happens. So you better watch out. Yeah. Why don't you drink coffee?
So my parents never drank coffee, so I never really grew up around it. And then as an athlete, I didn't want it to stunt any growth.
Are you all Mormon or something?
No. We're Christian. They genuinely don't like the taste of it. So
who does, though?
It's more so just milk and cream and sugar, right? That people like.
I feel like that's true.
Yeah.
The black coffee with a spoon of MCT, that's my sort of jam, but I prefer like a nootropic in the morning or, well, you sent me something when I put up a story. I had collagen, apple cider vinegar, MCT, that bee pollen, that freeze-dried bee pollen helps some with allergies. Not as much as they say, though. I've been trying that for a year, and I still have to use over-the-counter allergy stuff. But I did find that if on certain days I don't have a nootropic, which has a lot of caffeine, and I don't have coffee, but I mix lemon, cayenne, honey, and the apple cider vinegar, I think is what does it. Man, I am more alert off of that than I am off of Diet Mountain Dew, coffee, anything.
Right. Because coffee's a quick fix, right?
I feel like it is.
That hit of caffeine
first
thing. Yeah. And then I've never wanted to get addicted to it. I don't want to have to rely on coffee to get my morning started. I do tea now.
I hear you.
Which I'm still like.
Matcha?
I don't love matcha. I will drink it.
See, I feel like the addiction to coffee thing is a weak argument. Like, I feel like that's a good argument for heroin, but we're talking about coffee. Like, I've never tried heroin either because I feel like that's going to be a problem.
Not a good idea.
No, and I'm not a big fan of the FDA, but you can't get heroin. You don't. I don't know where this has been, and I don't know if someone's put some fentanyl in there. And I'm watching Your Honor on Showtime now, and I'm more scared of fentanyl than ever. The dog trainer guy who I have on the podcast from time to time, they won't even let dogs sniff for fentanyl because if they sniff the fentanyl, they'll die. And these dogs are worth
just from smelling
$500,000.
Wow.
Yeah, because they get on it and they mark it and they stay there. Just like if they were finding a bomb. I didn't realize that. He said that. That shocked me and the internet because that's like one of the best videos we've ever made or the most viewed.
Wow.
I didn't realize. So everyone's just, fentanyl is just, they're just like, well, the dogs can't smell for it. How are we going to catch anybody? And they're bringing it all over the border, like on the daily. Mm-hmm. So we're just, I guess, just going to thin the herd with fentanyl.
Right.
I have no idea.
Scary.
Very
scary.
No coffee. Well, look,
No coffee.
I think that's probably for the best.
no
I think
soda.
never.
No, never.
It's really, that carbonation's terrible for your joints.
And it's straight sugar, right?
Well, you can get soda that doesn't have, you can get natural, I drink one they make a good ginger ale. I think it's called, I don't know. It's called something hard to say that they sell at Whole Foods. Zevia. There it is. Thank you, bro. It's good. I gotta have something that's not just water
Okay.
at some point in the day.
Kombucha, Jess.
What about those like carbonated waters, those flavored waters?
Like
a Celsius, right? Don't
yeah,
people
I've
drink
seen.
those?
I've never had one of those.
Me neither.
What about LaCroix? Have you ever had that?
I don't like carbonation. Wow. Really?
See, when I was playing sports all the time, like you were, high competitive sports, it's water, it's electrolytes, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But I felt like I had to get the carbonation burn to really quench my thirst, like at the end of the day.
Oh,
Like you're doing
interesting.
2-a-days and it's just water, and you're
Right.
you're just trying to stay hydrated. I don't know. Maybe I should try a carbonation fast. And have you heard of this thing called a dopamine fast? It's big
No.
with the hipsters.
I'm definitely not a hipster.
I'm not either. Sohail is a self-proclaimed hipster. Yeah, 100%. You have a tucked-in T-shirt, man. You're a hipster, 1,000%. This dopamine fast, so anything that makes you feel positive that's artificial. So no social
Cell
media.
phone,
Yeah.
Right. No cell phone. No
Maybe,
TV.
yeah, maybe no music, no entertainment or content of any kind.
That would do some people good.
Well, I agree.
I mean, I think
mean-
we all need a break from the cell phones and the constant
Yeah.
on the phone, glued to the phones.
Somebody should just take down the grid for like a week so that everyone can learn how to think on their own again.
Right.
I don't support whoever does that, but if they do that, it might do some people some good.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Wow, so you've got you're pretty disciplined with regard to your nutrition.
I'm disciplined in every aspect of my life. I'm a very disciplined, regimented person. I like my routine. I like a schedule. I don't love surprises. I mean, who does, right?
Yeah, some people thrive on chaos though.
True. I don't thrive on chaos.
And I
No.
feel like you're very selective with who you follow on social media. I feel like I should be better at that because sometimes I just stand in utter amazement at the chaos that other people seem to thrive on.
Right.
I'm like, okay, first of all, we don't put that on the internet.
Right.
Second of all, let's go to the gym.
Right.
I don't know.
I try to only follow people on social media who inspire me, who, are putting out positivity. I don't want to get on Instagram and see the horrible news from around the world,
Right.
Like there's a time and place and it's good to be educated about current events. But, when I'm just going through my phone, I don't want to see that every day. So
Do you follow Goggins?
No.
Get the fuck out of bed. Run 20 miles. No, you don't?
No, I don't. No.
I think that we don't understand how much control we have in life of what we see, watch, hear, say, think, eat, drink, and it all adds up. And we have more
absolutely.
control now than anyone else on the face of the planet ever has that we know of. I mean, I think
Right.
there's ancient civilizations, like maybe they built the pyramids actually, that we don't know about, that were probably very advanced. But there is just this, man, I don't know, I'm depressed. I don't understand. Like and you're like,
Right.
well, you got whatever the news channel is, whatever angle they're coming at you from, on 24/7 in your house.
Right.
Like, try putting like chirping birds from YouTube up there, like in the
Right.
morning.
Right.
I do that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, la da da. It's a beautiful day.
Yes. No, it's good to consume positive content. On the flip side of that, if you're only following people who post the perfect life on social media, that can, lead to depression. And I see this, a lot with younger kids. They're like, well, everyone seems to have everything else together in their life, and here I am alone. And, so it can have that negative effect too. So I like to follow people who are posting, inspiring, happy things, but also real life. Like my life isn't completely put together. And that's the past couple weeks after I got in my car accident, I tried to post that, right? Like, here I am in this brand new, beautiful car, but that's not what my life looks like. I'm on the phone with Geico and I'm dealing with insurance claims and, thank God that I wasn't injured. But here I am
Did Geico take care of you?
Yes, they did.
Really?
Especially because it wasn't my fault.
I'll be darned. What'd they
Geico
do?
was great.
Just pay the bill and then subrogate it back to the guy who hit you or whatever?
So they just gave me a payout for my car once they
Good.
said that it was totaled. And then they said, if you need a rental car, we'll pay for that. This is the collision center. That's all paid. Everything was paid for, right?
Did you have the gap insurance where what your car is worth compared to what it would take to pay it off? Some people don't know about that.
Oh,
So
my car was completely paid off.
Oh, look at this. Model
So-
citizen. My goodness. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I think it's important to show that on social media, right? Like I could easily post, look at this brand new car that I just bought. But there's no
Ballin'.
context there,
Yeah.
right? That's
Right.
that's false. That's not the full picture of my life. It's not just this beautiful car. It's I was in a really scary accident, and now I'm buying a car by myself, right? I don't have like my dad here to help me, like when I bought my first car.
Yeah.
So here I am going to the dealership alone, trying to buy this new car, not get ripped off. Audi Dallas, amazing. And I'm super happy with my new car, but I'm not just going to show that on social media. People
Yeah.
want to see, people are nosy. They want to see a little bit of behind the scenes.
They are nosy. Where did this happen on the tollway, you said?
Yes.
Is the tollway the craziest thoroughfare that you have ever had to drive with regularity?
The tollway in 75, when I moved here, I was like, how am I going to drive here? These people are nuts.
There's
People
nowhere to go on
fly.
the tollway. On 75, there's shoulders.
That's true.
On
But-
tollway, it is Le Mans. It's like
It's
a tunnel.
terrifying.
It's like you're bobsledding,
Right.
but you're in a car.
Right.
And there's nowhere to go.
Right.
It's why no one ever gets pulled over on the tollway either, because there's like 2 places on the whole tollway for cops to hang out to get speeders.
And because you have to pay to be on the tollway, it's a lot of really nice cars, and they're flying down the tollway. And I'm going to avoid that road as much as I can.
Are you out late ever? Like 2 a.m., 3? I'm always hitting the clubs downtown and stuff. You would not believe the drag racing, like at night
Oh, really?
on
That's
the tollway
scary.
and on the underground portion of 635,
Mm-hmm.
where 635 goes underground, where it, like over there where it meets up with 35. I mean, what in the world?
That's scary to me.
Like everyone living their fast and furious dreams out there.
Right.
It's
In my small hometown in Maine, if you were out driving at 2 a.m., you could go miles without seeing another person.
Yeah.
So it's very different. And that was one thing when I moved here. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to drive here. It's a major city, and people fly. And why is 75 70 miles an hour? I mean, first of all, there's so much traffic that you can never actually go 70. But then
Yeah.
people take that up a notch, and they're going 80, 85.
Oh, yeah.
And there's too many cars, and there's accidents every day.
Especially the part where you just get through downtown if you're going south and it turns into 45 and MLK spins off and 170. It's people fly right there.
Yeah.
They just haul ass. It's
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah, they fly.
Yeah.
So,
No, when I was younger, I probably drove, not as cautiously as one probably should. But I've always had to drive like big, slow work vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine being like 20 and dumb and in like, I don't know, a McLaren or something.
oh, that'd be nice. Yeah.
It just seems like
Someday.
a recipe for extreme disaster.
Right.
What,
Real quick, Addison, could you pull the mic close, like to the edge of the table?
such a microphone dictator.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sohail is a
You're good,
perfectionist about
Jess.
the audio.
You can leave your mic. Yeah.
He's it's awesome.
Yeah.
But we had a guy on who brought his son, and then his son kind of got fussy, so he came and sat on his lap, and you can hear him sleeping, like the son sleeping on his shoulders. He's like 2 years old. It was the cutest thing ever. But we want to get all the audio, but when there's unexpected things that happen, we just have to roll with the punches. It's
Right.
good times.
Right.
So growing up in Maine, is that like where all your extended family is from?
Yes, pretty much everyone is from Maine. My parents both grew up in Maine. All four of my grandparents still live in Maine. So pretty much everyone that I know and love is
No
still back.
accent though. Where's your accent?
So I don't really have an accent.
No.
I grew up on the very southern coast of Maine, just an hour north of Boston.
You're like a news anchor. No one knows where you're from. You just have this
So
very...
I do say wicked. That might come out today.
Yeah.
So that shows that I'm definitely a Mainer at heart.
So did y'all start that, or did the Boston Southie people start that?
I always think it's a Maine thing, but Maine and Massachusetts, where I'm from in Maine and Massachusetts are very similar,
Yeah.
right? So, like I said, we're only an hour north of Boston without traffic. So some people will jokingly call us Northern Massachusetts. So we can all claim wicked. It's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been up to that area. That Rhode Island, Maine, New Hampshire area has always fascinated me. I've been to
Yeah,
Prince Edward Island.
Oh wow, way up there.
Yeah, but that area just seems awesome. Is fall the prettiest time when all the leaves are changing, or is it
Fall
always?
is the best.
Is it?
Yeah. So I always tell people September and October in Maine is just magic. The foliage, the weather, it's crisp 50-degree days, and the leaves are changing, the leaves are falling, and it's just beautiful. That is absolutely the time to visit. Once school starts back up again, the tourists leave Maine, and that's just the golden time to be there.
I think you should add to your content. You should add Addison's travel recommendations.
Oh yes, I've
'Cause
gone
that
on
was
some really
awesome.
cool trips recently.
You just laid it all out there like that. What's that dude, Steve? What's his name? The travel guy. You know. Come on.
Rick Steves.
Rick Steves.
Do I know him?
Maybe not. He's very Bob Rossy.
Okay.
So in that, like, super wholesome, really for everyone. But the way he could describe Mesquite, Texas, the way you just described Maine, and you'd be like, I want to go to Mesquite. Like he would
okay.
be like, Mesquite, Texas, named for the mesquite tree, famous for their barbecue. In the summers, mesquite can be a little warm, but the spring and the autumn are beautiful. And Mesquite's a hole. It's like the dumpster of
I've never been to Mesquite.
Yeah,
I'll have to add it to my list.
No, you're not missing anything. It's like Houston. You're good. Just
Never
avoid.
been there either.
You're good.
Okay.
You're fine. You're good.
But you are missing out on Maine. Maine is
I feel like I am.
wonderful. Late August is great too. There will be tourists there, but if I can describe it for you, just imagine going to a little lobster stand on the side of the road,
Okay.
cobblestone sidewalks, picking up fresh lobster meat and going sitting on the beach. The waves are crashing. It's not too hot. It rarely gets over 80, 85 in Maine. It is humid, but it's not hot. You can hike, you can bike, you can go to the lake, you can go to the ocean. We have everything in Maine.
This is like a guided meditation right here.
Am I putting you to sleep?
Yeah, no, I already feel calmer. My blood pressure is down.
Small, quaint towns. Really, the town that I'm from, I think it's like a Hallmark town. It's
Really?
really cute. Everyone knows everyone. There's a big white church steeple in the
Real
center
Norman
of the town.
Rockwell-y.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cute. It's very quaint. There's like 12,000 people year round.
Wow.
Yeah, it's adorable.
So growing up for you, was it just very all-American?
Very all-American.
You have brothers and sisters?
I have a younger brother and younger sister. So I'm the oldest, and I am 100% the oldest child. Like we were talking about, I'm very structured, regimented. I like to follow the rules. I am very
I'm
responsible.
the oldest, and I'm the opposite of all of this. So oldest doesn't always mean all of that. But
Right.
it does mean that your parents didn't know what they were doing when you came along.
Right, and both my parents are the oldest children
Ah, wow.
of their families. So they were definitely tougher on me than
You need to find an oldest dude.
I do. I
Yeah.
do. I
A
really
rugby
do.
dude who likes Texas and who will tolerate church.
Yes, that perfect.
Okay. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think I got a few dudes in mind.
Okay.
The all-American upbringing with were your parents working class folks? Were they?
They both worked full time.
Yeah.
Outside the house, which you have to mention these days because most people work from home.
True.
My dad was in insurance. My mom's in finance.
Nice.
I got to see them both wake up and work really hard every day to provide for us. And it was a very all-American upbringing. I mean, we were very comfortable, loved, and my parents are still together 32 years later, which is such a blessing and such a rarity these days. But great childhood. Absolutely great childhood.
When you were growing up, like, what were you interested in other than playing soccer?
Sports, we are a sports family. So my dad played Division I college football. He was a quarterback, can't get more All-American than
No
that.
doubt.
Right? So,
Was your mom the cheerleader?
no, she wasn't. My mom was the nerd, which is so
Yeah?
I'm like, how did you guys get together in
Huh.
college? My mom is very smart, very hardworking, but she's brilliant.
It was the riveting conversations.
Right. Yes. Yeah. She was valedictorian of her high school in Maine, and but they met in college. But growing up was, a lot of sports, So I played soccer since I could walk, pretty much. And then my brother was big into sports as well, and he went on to play college baseball. And my sister is currently a college soccer player. So
Wow.
all three of us went on to play D1 sports. So you can say that my family's a little bit intense.
Yeah.
We're very competitive.
Were you doing like playing for your high school, playing for selects, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Did you ever bump up against that burnout that some kids,
So
or
I
were
didn't.
you on fire for it all the time?
So my first 3 years of high school, I only played high school soccer because my brother and sister were growing up, and my parents, like I said, worked outside the house. And the premier soccer team was like 45 minutes away, and they're like, we can't drive you. This is 3 times a week, 45 minutes away. That's 3 or 4 hours out of our night, and we're both working. So I kind of had to sacrifice, and I just played high school soccer. And then my senior year, I said, I really want to play in college. I'm going to play premier and high school this year. So it's kind of shocking that I was able to go D1, given that I wasn't playing year-round soccer until my senior year of high school.
Yeah, that's a big thing in soccer and volleyball.
Yeah,
They really don't like if you aren't involved in the selects.
right.
I don't know if that's because they feel like more game time means you're going to develop faster, or if it's also sort of a mind fuck where they want to see how committed you are.
I think it's a little bit of both. And I think with soccer's so competitive, right? Every kid grows up playing soccer, and there's so many soccer players in the world and in this country. So if you want to be at the Division I level, I mean, you need to be playing year round. Like, there's a certain caliber of athlete that you need to be. So thankfully, I had reached out to what turned into my college soccer coach. So I went to the University of Maine, which is where my dad played and where my mom went to school.
Did you grow up wanting to go there?
I always thought it might be cool, but I knew that it was Division I. And in high school, I thought, well, maybe I'll go to a really prestigious Division III school and play soccer, but really also focus on academics. So that's really what I thought I was going to do. And then I found my dream school, Middlebury College in Vermont, very, very prestigious, very difficult to get into. And I went to an ID camp there for soccer, and I met the coach and thought it went really well, and went up afterwards and said, I'll be in contact. Like, I love this school. I would love to play here. So I emailed him when I got home, and he emailed me back and said, you're not good enough to play here.
Really?
Yeah. And I was crushed.
Is this between junior and senior year?
This was the fall of my senior year of high school. And
Wow.
I thought, well, what am I going to do now? Like, I was so set on this school. I really thought that I was good enough to play at this college. And I was devastated. And I went home to my parents and I said, what do I do now? I really want to play in college. And my mom said, every single school that you applied, I applied to 10 colleges. She said, every single school that you apply to, you're going to email that coach right now. And you're going to say that you're interested, that you want to play. And I said, okay, I'll do them all, but I'm not going to email you, Maine. That's D1. If I can't even play D3, I'm just not going to email. They're not going to waste anyone's time. So I ended up emailing you, Maine. I said, you know what? Life is short. I'm gonna take a chance, and I'm gonna email this Maine coach, explain who I am, and that I'm just hungry for this opportunity. So he ended up emailing me back, and he said, I've heard about you. I know that you're from Maine. I know that you're really competitive. I've never seen you play soccer, but I want to take a chance on you. Why don't you come up to campus and visit with us? So I went up to campus and I met with him and the assistant coach, and they basically said, we've never seen you play, but we know that you are ultra competitive and we love that. So we're going to take a chance on you. If you want to be a walk-on and you want to prove yourself, go for it. Here's your opportunity to play college soccer. You might never see the field in 4 years, but here's your chance. If you really want it, take it. And so I said, I'll take it. Like, when am I ever going to get this opportunity again, right? I was just told I wasn't even good enough to play D3. And here I am, a D1 coach is going to take a chance on me.
Did you scrimmage or anything when you went up there to meet with him?
Nope, he had never seen me play. And I didn't really have any videos of me playing. I mean, I had a little bit, but he really, really took a huge chance on me. And for that, I'm so thankful. So I showed up freshman year and was like, all right, I'm going to do everything in my power to become the best player and teammate that I can be. So my whole freshman year, I was scheduling meetings and one-on-one time with my coach. And I just, kept saying, I want to be out there. Give me a chance. Put me on that field. My freshman year, I played 6 minutes total the whole year. And I knew that sophomore year was my opportunity. And so I played on a really competitive team that summer. And we all had to come back July 1st for summer training. And then preseason would start August 1st. So I did everything in my power. And then by sophomore year, I was starting every game.
Wow.
So, and I went from a walk-on to a full ride within my 4 years. And I'm thankful every day that my coach took a chance on me. He saw something in me that other coaches didn't. And I'm just so grateful for that.
And that your mom said, no, send the email.
Right.
You're way into your faith. I grew up in all of that. And I always tell everyone at the companies that work for me, it says a lot of things in the Bible. Whether you agree with the Bible on the whole or not, there's a lot of wisdom in there. It says things like, knock and the door will be opened. Yes. Seek and you will find. Ask and it will be given to you. And I think a lot of people kind of glide through life. They just sort of bump into walls and they're not real intentional or assertive. I think it's harder sometimes for women because they feel like if I'm assertive, I'm going to be seen or perceived in a certain way. For guys, it's a little different. It's just sort of the way it is. The more assertive, the more aggressive, the more, alpha's a very poorly used term, the more you get rewarded. So in sports, for me, the braver you were, the more chances you took, the more, the harder you tried, the harder you worked, the better things got. And that's why I love sports, because they're, to me, a very parallel metaphor for life.
Absolutely.
I think they're so necessary for kids. Was that assertive, I'm going to go right at something, was that something that came naturally to you because of the competitive aspect of your life? Or did you also see that modeled in your mom and dad a lot?
I saw that modeled in my mom and dad a lot growing up. And for that, I'm thankful. So my dad was a football player. So he's a pretty intense person. And when he was raising my brother, my sister, and I, he wanted us to really push ourselves. And he challenged us, After the game, it wasn't good game. It was, this is what you can do better.
Really?
And next time, this is what you're going to do. And of course, when you're a kid and you're growing up, you're like, Dad, come on. I know I had a bad game. But looking back now, I'm like, he really loved us because he could see the greatness within us. And he really elevated us so that we could be our best selves on and off the fields. So I saw that a lot with my dad. With my mom is the smartest person in any room. I mean, she's brilliant. And she knows it, but she'll never tell you that, right? She doesn't have to tell you that. Her confidence is quiet. She's the sweetest, most kind person. But she'll walk into a boardroom. She's a CFO. And everyone listens. And they know that she's right. So I got to see, growing up, my mom would wear a suit every day to work. And especially as a woman, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like she means business. And she would always tell me, people will say, oh, you're a woman, things are going to be harder for you. And she's like, they're not. You walk into a room, you know who you are, and you own that. If anyone says anything about you being a woman, that's their issue, right? That has nothing to do with you, right? They shouldn't be, you shouldn't look at someone and only see their gender, right? That has nothing to do with the person. So I was always very encouraged by my parents, and they really instilled a sense of independence in my siblings and I think that has really carried me far in life. And they've always said, if you want something, go get it, right? Like that's up to you. So when it came time to transition from a very big fish in a little pond in high school, star player, captain of the team, to a Division I program, I knew that I was going to be in over my head a little bit at first. But it also, the way that I was raised, I knew that if I wanted something, I just had to go get it. My parents would always say, shoot for the moon, like life is short. You should always have dreams that scare you. And with enough hard work and dedication, you can achieve those dreams. So, showing up on that college campus as a freshman, barely 18 years old, I thought, wow, what am I going to do to achieve this dream of playing? That's what I wanted. I'd never asked to be the best player. I never wanted to be an All-American. Just give me a shot. I want to be on that field. So I did all these things extra. I went above and beyond to get myself to that level so I could be the best person on and off the field. So
your dad's helping you see when you have a bad game what you could have done better.
Yes.
But was he also like, hey, this is how we train, this is how we eat, this is how we sleep, this is how we recover, things like that?
not as much. But to be honest with you, that wasn't as much of a focus 20 years ago.
No, not
think
even close.
I think if it was today, it would be different.
Yeah.
And even my dad's a lot healthier today than he was 20 years ago.
Yeah, we didn't know what we know now about nutrition 20 years ago.
In fact, well, he tried to. So growing up, we always had to have a glass of milk with dinner, right? You're going to grow up big and strong. This is going to help you with sports. And so I guess in that sense, it's funny you mentioned that. I just triggered that memory. I did not love just plain milk.
I grew up on a dairy farm.
Oh, wow,
so
did you?
So it was milk all the time. Top milk, regular milk, make your own skim milk, but it was still Guernsey cow milk, so it was all whole milk. And whipping cream milk, so thick you don't even have to barely even there were stories about my grandma would hide that. My uncles would get home from football practice and they would find it and drink the whole thing like it's a post-workout almost. And she'd be like, no, that was for the pie on Sunday dinner or whatever. Pie. Yeah.
Very all-American, huh?
Yes. Dairy, man. Yeah. Crazy. And we'd get off into that in a minute. But yeah, that's one thing that I was very interested in talking to you about because, and Sohail can attest to this, I have tried. So I've had so many different kinds of people on the podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone that I've had on is usually living some version of a DIY fearless life, like a do-it-yourself, get out there. And almost every single one is also working things from an entrepreneur angle. So that is what this was all about. And I started it when the cold came out and they told us all to stay away from each other. I was like, I'm going to meet people in person. Fuck virtual. Let's go. But I have tried so many times to get someone on to talk about nutrition. And the hardest thing is I'll sit someone down if it's a personal trainer or a bodybuilder or a fitness model or a doctor or whoever, and they talk about it, but there's not real world rubber meets the road knowledge behind this is how we used to do things. There used to be the food pyramid. Why was the food pyramid created? What was behind that? Was big business involved in that? We all know that's true now. What do we do now? Is carnivore good? Is vegan good? And there's a lot of conversations on the internet about all that too, right? The vegans hate the carnivore people. The carnivore people make fun of the vegans. It's a lot like people's faith journey. Right. I'm like, yo, if it works for you and it's getting you through and you're fit and you feel awesome and you're faster and funnier or whatever you need to be because of your nutritional program, go for it. I don't care if it's all vegetables or all animals. Mm-hmm. And so when I saw that you were putting up the content you were after Sarah connected us, I was like, oh, whoa, allergen-free, very staple-free, very intentional. Right. And was the focus on that something that obviously came later as your life story progressed and your body started to react differently? But when you were in college, were you just like 3 hots in a cot, 3 square meals, carb, a little protein, some starch and vegetable? Is that kind of how you ate growing up? And a glass of milk?
Yeah. So nutrition was never a big focus in my household growing up. My parents were busy with work and carting us around to different practices. So, they didn't want to fix a whole from scratch meal every night, which I totally respect that. So I never had a great sense of nutrition probably until after college. College, I ate the standard American diet. I was eating McDonald's every week. I was eating pizza, burgers, fried food.
Taco Tuesday?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Pizza on
Wing
the weekends?
Wednesday.
Heck
yeah.
Let's go.
Every Sunday I went to McDonald's and got a 20-piece McNugget and fries,
Let's do this.
which I don't even, that would make me so sick
Could
now.
you imagine that?
I'd be asleep afterwards.
Yeah, I would literally, I think, get physically ill. What I've noticed is, man, I think I didn't feel as good as I feel now when I was just eating the standard American diet. But I know that if I go back and indulge in one of those things now, I feel so terrible.
Right.
That I'm like, I think this is how I always felt, but I didn't know any better.
Right.
And it's like the frog in the pot of room temp water. And you just slowly turn the heat up, you boil the frog, it doesn't even know till it's too late.
Right.
Like
right.
a lot of us feel horrible because of what we eat and drink, but we don't know there's a better way.
Right.
And then if you tell people like, oh yeah, just cut cow dairy out completely. Oh, I'd die without cheese. And you're like, there's like 9,000 different kinds of cheese.
Right.
There's buffalo cheese, lamb cheese, there's goat cheese. Like, we can get around the cheese problem.
Right.
But it has to get bad enough that you're willing to try other things.
Yes. So I say I didn't realize how sick I was until I was no longer sick. So I didn't realize that I had an issue with gluten until after I graduated college. So all throughout college, it was a lot of meat and a lot of carbs.
Like pasta to carb
Pasta,
up,
yeah.
like before game day?
Right, yes.
So you graduated, you were like 22, 23, somewhere in there?
21. I graduated at 21.
Whoa, overachiever.
No. Well, I was almost
Whoa.
22.
Whoa.
Graduated high school at 17. No, but
Wow.
just because I'm a little bit young for my class.
Gotcha.
But being the overachiever, I guess, that I am, as soon as I graduated
just fucking with
college,
you.
no, I am though, I decided that I wanted to start running marathons. So I signed up for half marathon and I started training for that. And I had noticed that 30 minutes or a few miles into my run, I would start to get this really sharp pain in my legs.
So back up. What
Mm-hmm.
position did you play in soccer?
Center back.
Okay, center. Oh, okay. So you're covering a lot of ground.
Yeah.
They'll measure that out. Rugby, certain positions will run like 9 miles in a match. Some will run 5, and there's another position that runs like 12 in a match. That's just what would your position require in terms of how much ground you had to cover? Do you know typically?
So my sister currently plays, and they wear
Yeah.
heart monitors, which track like how
That
far
tech's
they've gone.
crazy. Yep.
So I think she said 8 or 9. She does. She's a midfielder. So I'd probably say I was more like 6 or 7 per
Okay.
game. But
Okay.
again, that is very strenuous on your body, right?
And that's
it's
a
2
lot
games
of
a week.
Yeah, that's a lot of stop-start sprinting, though. 0 to full on
Right.
out, where
Right.
running a marathon, you're not jogging them, but it's a little bit of a different effect on your body in terms of
Right.
you shift into that gear and then you just go for 13 miles.
It's a lot more repetitive than playing soccer, right? Like you said, soccer's a lot of stop, start, side to side. You're more agile. Running distance, I mean, you're just running. It is constant pounding the pavement. So your body reacts a little bit differently. So I had never had these problems playing soccer, right? Because in soccer, yeah, you might be running 6 or 7 miles a game, but it's not continuous jogging for 6 or 7 miles. It's that stop start. There's halftime, there's substitutions, so your body gets a little bit of a break. So when I had started distance running, I noticed that after about 30 minutes or so, I would have these like sharp shooting pains in my calves, like very painful. And then as I would try to run through the pain and my legs would start to go numb.
So if you're an hour in, you're at like what, maybe 7 minutes a mile?
Maybe 6 or 7 miles total.
Okay.
I'm not that fast.
Wait, can I move this real quick?
Yeah.
Get it away from your face.
Okay.
I should do the same thing, right? So no, he always says block your face with the mic. We don't need any more of the. What's weird is sometimes in my old, like right when we started the podcast, there are podcasts where it's zoomed in on my head so close that I'm pretty sure I look like a Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade float. And I've had a knee problem for the longest time. Then I found Knees Over Toes guy. Do you know about that guy?
No.
amazing.
Really?
Crazy, yeah. And so without having to get surgery, I was able to fix my knee. So I've been able to get back into shape. So last week when Greg came up from Austin, like we're like 5 minutes into the podcast, he goes, "Man, have you like lost a fuck ton of weight?" And I was like, "Nah, I haven't really lost any. It's just redistributed." But thank you for noticing on camera.
Right.
I appreciate that. And it's like a compliment, but you're still just like, well, yeah, I know some of those earlier videos. When I first started making videos, I was like, I don't think I'm ready to be making videos. And Ryan was like, no, you just got to start. You just got to, and I'm glad I did. But I can tell you that on my TV in my house, I'm not playing my videos back for myself. Or if I'm around people and they're playing a video with my voice, I'm like, yeah, let's go. I'm going to go in the other room.
Right.
I'm
So
just
what is
not
the knees
into
over
it.
toes? What did they do for you?
So knees over toes guy, he had degenerative knee problems. He wanted to play D1 basketball. He couldn't figure it out. By the time he's a junior in high school, he's had 3 or 4 knee surgeries. And pretty much his approach is if you have pain in something, don't avoid it. Now, don't do it to where it's pain and then it sets you back, but start small. So what changed my life was backpedaling. So at last Christmas, not a month and a half ago, the year before that, I got a weight vest and I just started backpedaling every day because it's low impact. So I backpedal 7-8 miles.
Wow.
So just in a parking lot or a football field, or I was in Nebraska, there's these fields and just roads and you can hear people coming for miles. Just get on there, throw the headset on and just backpedal until you just can't anymore and just keep doing it. I backpedaled so much that I backpedaled my toenails off because my toes were just jamming into the end of my...
Wow.
And then I started feeling better and I could work out harder. And then it wasn't going upstairs, it was going down them. That would just, if I would try to do a HIIT sprint workout, I couldn't get around for like 2 weeks. And they're like, yeah, we just have to replace your knee. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I've had several knee surgeries from rugby and football. Mm-hmm. So the backpedaling and then strengthening your tibialis, which is that muscle on the front of your shin by just doing toe raises.
Oh, we did those in college.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's all these little things and then you just start building them and awesome. I found him through Rogan. Rogan was like, this guy, and he fixed this. And I was researching everything, stem cells. Because I was like, I'm not doing I've had so many surgeries from sports.
Right.
And it's so frustrating when your body stops working.
Right.
And the people are like, oh, you're just old. Like, this comes with the territory. And I'm like, no. There's dudes who are older than me who can do 10 times more than me. We're figuring this out.
Right.
Knees over toes guy. Highly recommend. His paid content is awesome. His free content, if you have an ache or a pain, anything, shoulder, back. I'm working on my lower back right now, doing some stuff and it's helping a ton. Wow. So yeah, going right at it.
Yeah.
So you're 6-7 miles in, your calves are just killing you.
Killing me.
Right when that started, you just like, I'm just not in long distance running shape?
No, I immediately knew something was wrong. As an athlete, I knew my body and I knew that it didn't feel normal, and I knew that it wasn't good. I knew that it could create like long-term damage. So as much as I'd love to just run through the pain, I think I'm doing like permanent damage to my body, and that's not okay. So after 3 or 4 miles after the pain, my legs would start to go numb, and it would start in my feet, and I like tingly, like, when your foot falls asleep, that's what it felt like. And then it would slowly work its way up my legs until my legs were numb. And here I am running and I'm like, I could fall. What if a car comes and, this is dangerous. This isn't like me being wimpy about this. This is actually dangerous. So I went to see a doctor and I was referred to a sports specialist doctor, and I had done a bunch of research on my own, and I thought that I had something called Compartment Syndrome.
Yes. Very familiar.
Are you?
Yes.
Most people aren't.
Yeah.
So the sports...
You should see the surgeries they have to get to
the
do.
fasciotomies.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So the sports specialist confirmed, he's like, you definitely have exertional compartment syndrome. So it only happens when you exert yourself. And so essentially compartment syndrome, everyone has muscle fibers, right, that surround your muscles. And when you work out a certain muscle, those fibers expand, all the extra blood flow goes to those muscles, and your muscles literally get swollen, right? And then after you're done working out, they slowly shrink back, and then the next day you work out again.
When the pain's super severe, you're 6-7 miles in, then how long would it take for the pain to subside if you stopped and started walking?
Within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting. So for whatever reason, in my legs, when I run, those muscle fibers don't expand. So all the extra blood flow is trying to get to my legs, and it has nowhere to go. So my muscles are trying to expand. The extra blood is trying to get there, and it can't. So the muscles and the muscle fibers, that was that really intense pain. And then the numbness would happen because eventually the blood just had nowhere to go and it couldn't get to my legs. So the sports specialist doctor explained this, and he said, you have 2 options. All right, I was 22 at the time. It was just a D1 athlete. He said, you can quit running and try again, in 6 months or a year and see if it has naturally fixed itself. Or you can do surgery on both of your legs. You can get a fasciotomy, it's called. So they essentially go in to those muscle fibers and they make these small incisions everywhere so that they expand. And he said each leg would be a 6-month recovery, and there's no guarantee that it's actually going to work. And I said, neither. I choose neither option. I said, I'm a young, healthy athlete. I should be able to run 3 miles without any pain. And he's like, well, that's your option. It's not good to, run through the pain. You could cause nerve damage and whatever. So thankfully, I'm really close with my aunt. She lives in my hometown, and she's a veteran marathoner. She's run Boston, Chicago, New York, Marine Corps. She's done all of the big races. And I was training with her, right, for this race because she had so much experience. And she said, I used to be gluten-free when I was, running these races, and I felt amazing, and it really helped me with my running. Maybe you should consider that just for overall health. And so I said, gluten-free, I'm eating like fried food and pizza, and okay, I'll try it because I'm that desperate. Like, I'm in that much pain. So it was July 26th of 2016 was the first day that I was gluten-free. And I had to learn a lot. I did a lot of research. But within a week, no pain when I was running.
Wow, really?
Which is mind-boggling. And the best part? I went back like a month later for a follow-up appointment with the doctor. And he said, how's it going? I said, great, I can run like 10 miles without pain. And he's like, what do you mean? What did you change? And I said, I'm gluten-free. And he said, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, gluten doesn't have anything to do with running. And I said, you know what? Gluten and running, it might not seem like they're connected, but for me, gluten is an inflammatory in everyone. But for me, the joint pain, the inflammation, that's how it showed up in me, right? So yes, they are connected. And I said, you almost had me get surgery. And you also told me I couldn't run. And I've now solved this on my own. I gave him some attitude because I was mad. And I said, I have now solved this in a healthy and free way. And there's no downtime. I'm not recovering from a surgery, right? I didn't pay thousands of dollars for a surgery. Here I am. I completely healed it.
Before your aunt made that recommendation, did you find anything online about it? Did you look?
I did. I
said, shin and calf. So this isn't shin splints. This is mostly in the calves.
Yeah, like the back. Yeah, the back.
Like
not
where
shin
your
splints.
Achilles meets your calf?
Right there. So
like
it's like lower calves, Achilles,
so
calves.
like the top of your Achilles.
Yes.
And you're web searching this pain and trying to link it to something.
Yes.
And there's no Reddit threads then or anything about it.
And there still isn't. I need to write something. I want to tell anyone who has compartment syndrome, do not get the surgery. Go gluten-free and see if that helps first.
Or you should start hashtagging a lot of your recipes with whatever the compartment syndrome hashtag is. Amberly Lago has been on the podcast, and she almost lost a leg in a motorcycle accident. She's on a motorcycle going home from personal training, celebrity clients. She gets T-boned by an SUV, and it almost takes. So she has a certain specific nerve disorder, and they just call it the suicide disease. You either kill yourself or want to kill yourself because of the never-ending pain.
Right.
And a lot of what she does when she puts her content out is she tags those certain societies that help or groups, and she hashtags it with that nerve because a lot of people don't know where to start. Like they have something's wrong. They don't know what it is. In fact, a lot of depressed people don't understand that they're depressed because their gut microbiome is so fucked, and no one's talking about that in the mainstream, and they don't understand that if you would just clear that up, what you put in would make you feel a lot better. That's crazy. Like that's a God thing probably that your aunt recommended that.
Yeah, and she's still gluten-free. We're gluten-free together. It's a God thing that I had a scary health diagnosis and now it's my business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I never in a million years thought I would walk into that doctor's office and have him say, these are your two, surgery or quit running.
So that was 2003?
2016.
2016?
2003, I was in third grade.
Yeah, I was like, I think the math is wrong.
Did I say 2003?
Unless you're really taking your peptides or your human growth
This
or
was
something.
2016,
Okay.
right after I graduated college.
So 7 years ago. Wow, that's crazy. Were you then like, well, I wonder what else I eat that might not be optimizing my overall life experience?
So when I started eating gluten-free, for the first time in my life, I read nutrition labels. And I started to read, what is in this food that I'm eating? And I was horrified at the ingredients that the FDA has approved for this country. But I started to finally read nutrition labels. And then I started to think, well, when I eat these foods, I feel better. And now that I'm running distance, what do I need to eat? Like, what type of carbs do I need to eat? How much protein do I need to be eating to fuel myself for these long runs? And it was definitely some trial and error in the beginning, right?
Did you know about macros then?
I knew, but I've never really followed macros.
Oh, really?
For me, the only macro that I really track is protein. I've always had to have a really high protein diet. And I think looking back, whenever I ate a lot of carbs, I would feel sick, but I think that was the gluten and not just the lack of protein. Whenever I think about eating pasta, I'm like, oh, I used to feel so sick. But then at the time I thought, oh, I didn't have enough protein today, or maybe I didn't drink enough water, or maybe I'm just tired or whatever. But I can specifically remember every time I eat pasta, I would get a headache. So.
Not just tired.
No, like a headache. Like I needed medicine. But now I used to have 1 to 2, I would consider them bad headaches per week. I get 1 to 2 per year now.
Wow.
And who knows if they're stress related, or if I accidentally eat gluten, like at a restaurant or something, I'll get like a really bad headache and then I'll fall asleep. My body just shuts down.
Yeah. If you accidentally ingest it,
right?
It's like a sniffer dog on fentanyl. You're just like, oh, gluten, and you pass out.
And I'm just done.
What did you study in at college?
I was a math major.
Oh, wow.
So very different than nutrition.
Yeah. Does everyone say that when you say I was a math major? Oh, wow.
Like, wow, you were?
No kidding.
Math is my favorite subject.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because it's so
it's black
linear?
and white. There's always a right answer.
Yeah.
There's no gray area.
Welcome to the real world, though.
Right, yes. Doesn't care about your feelings, none of that.
Well, and math is used at the higher levels by those who communicate when it's convenient, and then it's ignored when it's not.
Right.
Just like the science.
Right.
Yeah, it's really weird how all that works. Yeah. What were you going to do with a math degree?
I wanted to, I thought I wanted to go into data analysis, and that's kind of a little bit of what I do now in my full-time job. But maybe insurance, risk management, be an actuary.
Yeah.
I really thought I was going to be an actuary.
You sons of bitches, you actuaries.
Yeah.
I deal with
It's a
all
great
you
career.
insurance people. Yeah.
So that's what I thought I was going to do. I always thought when I graduate, I'm going to work a 9 to 5, 40 hours a week for the rest of my life. I saw my parents do it. They were very successful at it. And that's what I grew up knowing.
That doesn't seem like something that would make you seem very adventurous to a degree.
I've gotten more adventurous as time. I was very on the straight and narrow in high school, college,
right.
And college, get a job, buy a house, everything linearly. But again, this whole gluten thing threw me for a loop, and it changed my life in so many ways, and I'm so thankful for that. And that's another God thing, right? Like it was this this problem. How do I fix this problem? And I'm in pain, and this is not what I thought my life would look like, and I just want to run. And I mean, now it's like my whole life. Like,
So a lot of times we hear this term, the establishment, and a lot of people equate that immediately to the elites, politics, etc. I think it depends on who's saying that word, what they mean. It's a lot like toxic masculinity. It means different things to different people.
right.
You know, it's so weird and so disturbing to me the way Western medicine is set up. That instead of a doctor telling me with my knee thing, hey, you should check this out. This might save you time, money, an addiction to pain pills you would never need, etc.
Right.
Try this, which is really all Knees Over Toes guy does. It's physical therapy. That's what it is. But it's a lot of stuff that's not in textbooks because it
Right.
takes years to get in the to get the textbooks changed, then more years for doctors to actually use that knowledge that they learned in college. So you go to a doctor, and I've heard this story repeated so many times. He's giving you these two options. Did you even consider or even know about getting levels checked or anything like that, or doing a food intolerance or insensitivity test or any of that?
No, I knew that I wanted to solve it naturally,
Right?
but I didn't think at the time that food had as much of an impact as it does.
It is literally medicine.
Food is medicine.
So you can be taking, well, it's one of two things, and it's really almost never neutral. It's either poison or medicine.
Right.
And you can be eating in a preventative way, like I want to feel my best, which is going to prevent me from getting sick, or you can just eat in this aimless way, which a
Right.
lot of us are. That's just what happens. Your
Right.
parents are busy, or you're always on road trips doing sports. It's always the burger here, grab this from the 7-Eleven or whatever.
Right.
And there is such a lack of focus and emphasis put on nutrition anywhere. Just
Right.
look at the school lunch program. It's just unbelievable. So this is the other thing. When's the last time you visited someone at the hospital?
Oh, it's been a while.
Okay, so next time, and I hope that's a long time from
Right.
now.
Yeah.
When you go there, try to go around a mealtime and look at what they are giving a sick person to feed their sick body, and it doesn't make any sense unless you take a step back and you go, what in the F is going on around here? This is
Right.
all a business. It's all a business. And, you know, it took me a long time to realize that everyone's got a grift.
Yes.
Everyone.
Right.
Everybody. So I don't care if they're wearing a lab coat or a tie, they're a professor, they're a teacher, they're a preacher, they're a doctor. Everyone's got a grift. It's unreal. Down to the OxyContin stuff and the pain management, that whole deal, and how that took off and killed so many people, and no one's in jail for that. The food thing blows me. It just blows me away. If you go to your doctor and you say, this is the disorder that I'm experiencing, to me, now, knowing what I know, first thing, I'm a doctor. And they do this in Australia. They have a lot of things backwards down there. But this they'll do. You have diabetes, they'll be like, we'll put you on this prescription. But for 2 months, you have to do all of this and you have to prove it. So you have to eat better, you have to track everything you eat, and you have to be more active. If you come
Smart.
back, and a lot of people come back and they're no longer diabetic.
Right.
Amazing. It's
Right.
crazy. Do you watch Dateline, 20/20, 48 Hours?
I've seen them. Yeah.
Okay, mostly geared toward older folks. If you watch those during like a 1 hour Dateline, there will be 5 commercials from Big Pharma about skin disorders. 5 different drugs. 5 different drugs about eczema, psoriasis, this or that. And it's, oh, just keep eating what you're eating. Take this pill and then that rash will go away.
Right.
Were you, when you gave attitude to that doctor, but did you, I mean, you were younger than you are now, but were you pissed?
I was. Yes, I was. I think I was more so disappointed, right? Because I could have so easily listened to this doctor and gotten the surgery. And who knows how that would have ended up.
What was the recovery time on that?
The surgery, each leg was 6 months. recovery. So he basically said, you won't be running for a year. And I said, what do you mean? A year? No, I'm 22 years old at the time. I wanted to run. Just let me run. So I was disappointed, and it really shifted my perspective from what does medicine do for us, but what can we do for ourselves? So I started reading ingredient labels. I started to pay attention to things that I was feeding myself and how I felt. And like I said, within a week or two, my whole life was changed. I felt I had so much more energy. I could finally run. No pain in my legs when I ran. And for me, it was an aha moment, right? I said, if I can feel this good, eating this way, like why have I been wasting my life eating all this crap?
Because you didn't know.
Because I didn't know any
better. We don't
better.
know what we don't know.
Right. And in America, right, everything comes down to money. No matter who you are, whether you're in healthcare, whether you're FDA, everybody, right? This is America. It comes down to money.
It's a big LLC, man.
Right.
Yep.
So these food companies are feeding us this food that's going to get us addicted to their food. So if you check labels now, sugar is in everything. And they say sugar's more addicting than cocaine,
yep.
right? So they'll get you...
And worse for your brain chemistry than cocaine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I think this is a little hot take
Sugar
here.
and pornography do worse things to your brain than snorting a line of cocaine does. That's science. Now,
Wow.
Can I state the study? No. I'm not going to Liver King it and say that I know it to be fact. But yeah, there's a lot of studies on what it does to your brain chemistry.
Right. So these companies make a food product and they put sugar and all this extra fake stuff that doesn't need to be in it, and they put it in it, and they get you addicted, right? Because they want your money. They want you to be a repeat customer. So you keep coming back to the same sugar-filled product, and you're just getting sicker and sicker. And then Big Pharma's coming in and they're profiting off that, saying, oh, don't change anything about your life except for these pills. And then they make a fortune. No one's in here saying, well, maybe you should eat more fruits and vegetables, right? Because no one's going to make money off of that, right? There's no big company profiting off of, maybe you should just eat a little bit healthier. Maybe you should run. Maybe you should walk. Get out there. So in America, it all comes down to money. And a lot of times it's cool. People build businesses, they succeed. It's really cool to see. And it's very inspiring to me to see people who have succeeded financially. I think that's awesome. I love America more than anyone. But it comes down to money here.
Yeah, and it does seem to me that if you do follow the money, so that seems like such a simple term. People say that. I used to hear that when I was younger, and I'd be like, oh, you're oversimplifying. No, man. The older I get and the more perspective I get and the more people I talk to and the more I research and read, it's so obvious.
Right.
It's as plain as the nose on your face.
Right.
And I think the thing that I'm inspired to try to do is to help people understand that you do have way more control than you think you do.
Right.
And just stop for 1 second and read what is this that you're putting into yourself, whether you're reading it or eating it or drinking it or listening to it,
right.
And say, critically analyze, why am I doing this? Is this serving me? Is it not? And then just be a little, just a bit adventurous and just try something. Like
right.
If someone says, hey, Michaela Peterson, she had all kinds of autoimmune problems. Jordan Peterson's daughter, she went off everything except salt, beef, and water, and it solved everything. And she had been to every doctor, taken every pill, tried everything.
Right.
Just try it.
Right.
I don't know. It's not convenient. It's not cheap. If you eat more protein, protein's more expensive. But the margins on protein are so low that nobody's really pushing that. Like they're pushing stuff in boxes and bags.
Well, because you don't get addicted to protein, right? You're not like, oh, I shouldn't have had that extra chicken. I just couldn't stop eating that chicken. You're going to say, oh, I couldn't stop eating that bag of chips.
Yeah.
Right? So the margins are smaller. It's carbs and sugar are pushed on us because they're addicting.
And now you see obesity rates skyrocketing, diabetes rates skyrocketing, heart disease skyrocketing, and all these people who passed away when they got the cold because of, not the cold, but all the comorbidities that came along with, normally, a very massive lack of fitness.
Right.
Which, you can't outwork a bad diet.
No.
You just can't. Michael Phelps can, but he could like for like a couple years, right? He was
Right.
eating like 18,000 calories of like mayo dipped pepperoni pizza and donuts and stuff. Like they would show what he would. It's just crazy. When we're young, too, I don't think we realize that our body is using every single calorie we put in as a building block. It's just, it's
Right.
coming in, it's synthesizing it, and it's building your body.
Right.
Once your body is built to its full stature and you're about as tall as you're going to be or as broad as you're going to be, which for women happens faster than it does for men. Men usually a couple years behind in terms of mental maturity and physical maturity, as I'm sure you can attest, meeting dudes your own age. Once that happens, though, you do start to see this change, and your body's now like, oh, well, we weren't in fight or flight, just building you. Now we're in maintenance mode. Now everything that goes in is actual fuel for your brain, for your body physically. When did you start? Like, did you start immediately just telling everyone you knew, like, this is what happened, this is what I'm doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
You get these people who are like, oh, you're one of those gluten wackos.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not a hippie. I'm just someone who
What's wrong with hippies?
nothing, but that's just not me.
Yeah.
But
Jess is a hippie for sure.
No, I really appreciate the shaved armpit on women. So
yes.
as much as I'd like to think that I enjoy the way hippies think, and I would like everyone to get along, and music
Right.
is rad, but
yeah.
you're not a hippie, but people look at you like you have two heads when you talk about gluten. They do even now
Right.
sometimes.
Right. Yeah. People don't fully understand what gluten is. Some people say, oh, so you don't eat meat? And I'm like, oh, I eat meat like twice a day, every day. I love meat. That's not veganism and being gluten-free. Those are two completely different things.
Explain what gluten is, because I don't think people understand the way that, a grain breaks down and the part of the grain that is gluten.
So gluten is the protein that is found in wheat. So as wheat is processed, the gluten is within the wheat, and that's the issue. The way that wheat is processed in the U.S. is very different from, say, Europe. I'm not a farmer. I don't know the exact specifics, but I do know that people who are gluten-free have much more of an issue in the U.S. than they do in Europe. I've talked to people who have celiac disease, and they're like, I can go to Europe and eat bread, because it's processed differently. I've also heard things like sourdough are a much better option for people who are gluten-free. I'm not yet ready to try that because I just don't want to get sick. And even a little bit of gluten I'll get sick with. But so it's the protein that's found within wheat. So think anything that has wheat flour that has gluten in it. So any baked goods that have, pretty much they all have wheat in them. So we're talking everything from pizza to cookies to bagels to, and then there's certain things that gluten is in that you would never think so. Soy sauce has gluten in it, which is very strange. Some sort of seasonings or sauces are thickened with flour and therefore have gluten in them. So you just have to be really careful. But that's what gluten is, and it is an inflammatory in everyone. Some people just can't tell or just doesn't affect them as much.
What did you eat for breakfast growing up? What everyone else did? Whole milk and cereal?
Cereal or toast or a bagel with peanut butter or Nutella. Carbs.
Yeah,
Sugary carbs.
Or, but a lot of people, you will see, they put gluten in a bowl in the form of flakes, and then they will pour cow milk over that, and then they will add a couple tablespoons of sugar to that, and then they will eat that, and then they will go to school. And that is the tried and true American breakfast.
Which is horrible. It's alarming to me that we are the most educated, wealthiest country on earth with the highest healthcare, and yet we're the sickest.
And the fattest, which goes along with the sickest.
We're the sickest. We're the most depressed. I mean, I just, something isn't adding up, right? We're being fooled.
It's not adding up, but it is adding up for the people who want it to add it up in their bank accounts.
Right. Exactly.
And if you realize that life breaks down to you are always being marketed to, So you're either marketing to someone or you're being marketed to all the time. We're all always in sales. If you don't think you're in sales, you are. You're just really bad at it. Like you have to know the way you present yourself, the way you communicate is communicating something about you, about how you were raised, and about how you live your life and how you do things.
Right.
And the nutrition industry, I think, is starting to shift because there are critical thinkers out there who were driven to the point of making crazy to the mainstream decisions about what they wouldn't eat.
Right.
I think that it's really weird. It's a lot like alcohol. If you go to a gathering and someone's like, "Oh, you want some alcohol?" If it's a gal and she says no, "Oh, you pregnant?" If it's a guy, it's, "Oh, you got a drinking problem?" Well, how about it just completely ruins my sleep? So let's just start there.
Right.
How about that? How about it's not a performance enhancer? So alcohol is a weird one for people. A lot of alcohol has gluten in it too because it's grain based.
Right.
And then the same goes for nutrition. So people will look at people who talk about their nutrition allergies in this weird way. I will admit that I have done that before I realized in my 8-year journey of figuring out all of this about nutrition. People would be like, "Oh no, I'm allergic to that," and I'd be like, "What's that mean?"
Right.
Like, just cowboy up.
Just eat it.
We're having cheeseburgers. Just like, let's go. It's family function.
Right. Yeah. And I get that too. I get that. I'll go out to eat sometimes and we're at like a pizza place and I'll get a salad and they're like, "Yeah, that's boring. You're just going to get a salad?" I said, "Yeah, because I don't want to be in a food coma." Like, why are you? It's so easy for people to criticize making the healthy choice, right? If we all went out to pizza and everyone's eating pizza and I'm eating a salad, suddenly I'm the bad guy?
Well, you're making them feel good. See, the thing is it's their conscience.
Misery loves company.
And they just don't like a lot of people on the alcohol thing, they don't like that you're doing that because they know that they probably pour it on a little too thick, a little too often too.
Right.
And it's just maybe, the nutrition thing is it's just crazy. I mean, have you kind of had to develop a thick skin about that? Like, sorry, that's how you feel. I'm doing this.
Yeah. I have a thick skin to begin with. Being an athlete, coaches yelling at me, like, it doesn't really bother me.
Northeasterner.
Yeah. Hardcore Mainer.
Yeah.
I tell people that I don't get offended by anything because I don't, because it's just words, right? Like, why would I get offended by something someone says to me? But I have developed a thick skin with people making comments about the way I look or what I eat or, "Oh, you're not going to eat that cookie? That's so boring." Or just take a little bite. It's not going to hurt you. And I'm like, that's like telling an alcoholic, just a little sip. Like, you can't. It doesn't work that way. Or someone who's allergic to peanuts, just a little bite. It's like, you can't.
That's a crazy one, right?
And people say that just a little bite, just try it. And I'm like, you don't understand. It is black and white. It is 0 or 100. I can't just have a bite of this. So it can be frustrating sometimes, but I try to view it as an opportunity to educate people and say, you can't tell someone with a peanut allergy just a little bite. When
you go out, when you eat at a restaurant, are you pretty specific with them?
Very.
Like if they're making you a filet, are you saying, "Hey, no seed oils. I want you to cook this in ghee or butter. I have seed oil allergy," or anything like that?
I'm that annoying person at dinner. But
no, that's not annoying.
But I don't feel bad for it.
I mean, you go to the top steakhouses in the world and they're taking the worst thing you can cook a protein in, and that's what they're cooking it in.
Right. Exactly.
You got to use that woke seed oil stuff right against them. Or the peanut allergy. Just be like, nope, can't do that. We got an allergy at this table.
Right. So whenever I go out to eat, I will look up the menu online first because I like to know what they have. But sometimes I'll call ahead and say, "Hi, I'm coming in tonight. I'm gluten-free. Is this dish gluten-free or not? Can I eat here?" Right? I like to plan ahead. I like to know what I'm getting myself into. And then when I'm at the restaurant, I will say, "Just to let you know, I'm gluten-free. So even though this salad says it doesn't have croutons, please don't put croutons on it." Because I'm not going to just sit there and pick the croutons out. I want a salad without croutons. So I'm very specific and I communicate that. And I think that the servers appreciate that.
Have you seen that movie, The Menu?
No. Should I?
Sohail, have you seen that yet?
Yeah. We talked about it.
Yeah, you should.
Okay.
You told me to see it. Yeah, you should. You should see it. It's got a great cast.
Yeah.
The gal from the Queen's Gambit is like
Oh,
the
yes.
lead.
I watched that.
Judith Light from Who's the Boss? Remember Who's the Boss with Tony Danza? See, you youngins. I'm
I have
telling you.
no idea what that is.
Yeah, well, I'm dating myself, but hell, yeah, I think the gray hair does that for me. Yeah, the foodie culture is what the movie is about, really.
Okay.
And it's great.
I should. Okay, the
Yeah,
menu.
Yeah,
I'll watch
the
it.
menu. It's on HBO Max. It's
Oh,
great.
perfect. I have HBO.
The yeah, I mean, don't blame me for the ending or any of that, but yeah, it's a good experience for sure.
So going back a little bit to when I first became gluten-free, I thought I'm just going to go out and buy all the same things, but just the gluten-free version.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy the bagels, the pizzas, which tasted like cardboard 7 years ago. They're much better now. And then slowly over time, I still had a little bit of like lingering pain during the marathons. And I realized that it's so much more than just the gluten. And actually in 2022, I was dealing with some skin issues like acne and went to an esthetician and a dermatologist and did a ton of research. And of course, the dermatologist, you just need this cream, this thing, blah, blah, blah. And the dermatologist is like, well, this treatment and, whatever. And I found in my research, I listened to a lot of like holistic podcasts. And one of them was all about exploring the link between sugar, hormones, and skin. And I thought, I eat a decent amount of sugar every day. I'm always testing these recipes. I'm always trying them. I kind of eat a lot of sugar. And I think I'm addicted to sugar. So in August of 2022, I quit sugar cold turkey. And now I do coconut sugar or maple syrup or honey. But that's it. No
What about
white.
stevia?
If something has stevia in it, I won't avoid it, but I don't add stevia to anything. I've just recently started to explore like keto sweeteners like allulose, and I do monk fruit sweetener.
Swerve. Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of Swerve. I've used it in baking before. But again, I'm not necessarily adding it into my daily life.
When you went cold turkey on the sugar, was that hard?
Yeah, a little bit. I could tell that.
Are you talking no sugar, so you're not drinking wine? You're not drinking any alcohol? Are you just
really
mostly going for the refined?
Refined,
Yeah.
yes. So I do occasionally drink wine, but refined, like white added processed sugar. So when I did that back in August, I think it took a month or two, but my skin completely cleared up. It's going back to how what we eat affects us.
Did you have any like withdrawal symptoms like hangovers, anxiety, headaches, cravings?
Cravings, yeah. So
What was your go-to sugar, like ice cream or something like that you stopped?
So for me, the hardest part was breakfast. I am a sweet breakfast person. If it were up to me, I would have chocolate chip pancakes with maple syrup every morning. I love that. Or I'd have a bowl of cereal with, whatever, fruit and chocolate chips and just, I love chocolate. So I would start my day off on this sugar high and then you crash. But when you start your day with sugar, the whole rest of the day you're craving. Your body's like, I need more sugar. I need to keep up this high. I need more sugar for lunch. I need an afternoon snack. I need dinner. I need dessert. I want all the sugar. And it had gotten to the point where there were some days where I was barely eating savory things. I would maybe have something savory for dinner, but breakfast was sweet, lunch was sweet, snack was sweet, and dessert was sweet. And then I'd have meat for dinner. And I was like, I really think I'm eating just too much sugar. So the biggest hurdle for me was starting my day on a savory breakfast.
Were any of the healthcare professionals that you went and talked to, did they say anything to you again? So once again, you go for help. You go where you think you should be getting an educated point of view,
Right.
where you think you should be getting a strategy that would
Right.
contribute to
Right.
your overall health. You don't find it there, and you have to go off and down rabbit trails to find it for yourself.
Right.
And you found this through podcasts and reading and
Research.
a random Reddit thread, or were you more...
Mostly podcasts. And
Yeah.
I do a lot of research. Whenever I don't know the answer to something, I Google it.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I always want to learn. And my parents always
Stopped
said
using that word though.
I always look it up online.
Yeah, I web search it, and I've been told recently that's never gonna catch on.
It will.
But we're doing all this stuff for YouTube, who's owned by Google, And every time I turn around, one of my buddies who's some sort of entrepreneur is complaining because their like Google Places gets delisted, or someone puts up a bunch of bad Google reviews, or their good Google reviews get accidentally deleted, and then they can't get a hold of anybody over there, and their business takes a huge, just a huge shot. And I'm like, why can't anyone? We live in a free market, man. Capitalism. Why can't anyone figure out how to dethrone Google? Like, that's like how Blockbuster was, and then along came Netflix, and now there is no more Blockbuster.
Well,
like, that's not a replicable model right there.
I know.
Because it's like everyone is helpless about it. I mean, I have to even be careful about what I say in this discussion.
Right.
Because I'm criticizing the way a platform works. Now, look, they're the most popular. They're the big kid on the block. More power to them. If we're complaining so much, we should all pool our resources and start our own social media platforms and all that.
Absolutely.
But it's just crazy. So you're web searching, you're reading, your podcast, and then was that got to give up sugar?
No, it wasn't. It was, I've given up gluten, and it literally changed my life. Now, if I can give up sugar, again, just refined sugar, so I'm not completely cutting out. I do like 100% dark chocolate now and love it. And now when I accidentally eat something that has sugar in it, real sugar, I'm like, wow, that is so sweet. So now so when I test my recipes now, I test them with regular sugar because my audience wants their childhood favorites in a gluten-free way. And I can honor that. There's a time and place for sugar. Life is short, Christmas, holidays, birthdays, I get it, right? But for me, I'll test the recipe using coconut sugar or maple sugar or something that's unrefined, not overly processed. And for me, that works. Again, everyone's different. Some people might need to cut it out completely. But for me, maple syrup, honey, coconut sugar, that's what I do.
So your skin clears up. Did you notice anything else? Like, was your production optimized? Could you do more work? Were you not, this crash wasn't happening anymore?
It's crazy how little sleep I need. Like I can, last night I maybe slept 5.5, maybe 6 hours, and I'm fine. Again, I don't drink coffee. In college, I needed, it's different. I was a D1 athlete, but I was like 8 or 9 hours a night minimum. So I need less sleep. I have more energy. For me, the coolest thing is now I crave the foods that I eat every day. I wake up craving eggs, bacon, and avocado, and I eat that every morning for breakfast. So the fact that I'm starting my day with healthy protein, healthy fats, and it keeps me full. And I wake up and I crave that. So I really believe that we crave what we give our body. If we're giving our body loads of sugar, our body's going to want more sugar. If we're feeding our body proteins, fruits, veggies, our body's like, wow, I feel great. I want more of this. So what we give our body is what it ends up craving. So people think, oh, I could never live without that. It's like, you just got to try, right? And you're going to forget what cheese or sugar, you're going to forget what that tastes like.
Yeah, it's always cheese. Cheese is the big one when you say dairy to people. Bread or pasta is the big one when you say gluten. And you're like, you can make bread and pasta with a bunch of other stuff.
Right.
That has no. What do you ever make pasta? And if you do, what are you leaning toward? Really?
There are some shortcuts I take. I buy pasta very occasionally. I'm just not a pasta person. In terms of bread, I can make my own bread. I dabbled in the whole sourdough thing. It's really hard, gluten-free sourdough. Still trying to perfect that. But again, this whole, because I healed myself naturally, my first instinct when I think of pasta and bread isn't to just go run to the store. Like, how could I make this, But thankfully, I found some really great brands that are paleo, that do like paleo pasta and paleo bread. And I'm like, you know what, that's going to save me several hours. I know the ingredients that are in it are great. I'll buy it.
Where do you go to buy your groceries?
Whole Foods definitely has the best selection. I love Central Market because of all the fruits and veggies, and they have a really great meat selection. There are certain things that I love from Trader Joe's that I'll go there and get, but in terms of holistic eating, Whole Foods definitely has the best selection. Yeah,
Whole Foods is great. Central Market smokes Whole Foods in the butcher and the fish department.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even close.
No.
There's I found a place called Wild Fork. Have you heard of that?
I have heard of them.
Yeah,
yes.
It's interesting, but a lot of it's packaged. Like it's not, yeah. So I get my protein from a grass-fed supplier out of the Panhandle.
Oh,
I've had
okay.
them on the podcast. They're awesome. Buck Creek Meats, they're great. Wild Pastures is great too. So they send it all to you. It's all frozen and packed, and off to the races. It's
Yeah.
good stuff.
I order.
Sorry.
Yes, Morgan Freeman.
I have some questions about substitutions. Do you have any, like, when you were testing out, what did you use? You use cassava, or did you, like, figure out a good flour mix? Because I bake a lot, and I have friends who are gluten-free.
Potato flour is
Also-
all right.
Also, vegan substitutions. I just saw on your page you have some vegan recipes. It's probably unintentional, but do you use like flaxseed eggs or?
Yeah, great question. So there's really great gluten-free flour blends on the market today, and I'm thankful that they were there 7 years ago when I began my journey. So I try to use for all my baking a 1-to-1 flour blend. So what that means is you can take a recipe that uses all-purpose flour, and you can use the exact same quantity of gluten-free 1-to-1 flour. So if these cookies have 2 cups of flour, I can substitute 2 cups of gluten-free flour. So the 2 brands that I use most of the time are King Arthur flour and Bob's Red Mill. They're 2 awesome alternatives. Now, there was a time when I was paleo, so you can't have those gluten-free flour blends are rice flour, potato starch, they have xanthan gum. It's usually brown rice and white rice flour. So it's like a blend of things. And that's kind of why you're able to substitute it directly. When I was paleo, you can't eat grains. So I
Right.
couldn't eat rice flour.
Nothing that would have been farmed or crop raised
Right.
is the bottom line with paleo.
Right.
This is
It's a
This is
caveman.
caveman. Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
So that was probably harder than just being gluten-free. So I had to start experimenting with almond flour and coconut flour and cassava flour. And those are all very different from each other. And none of them is exactly like all-purpose flour. So just a lot of experimenting in the kitchen. And then I do like to do vegan baking sometimes. I am definitely not a vegan. Some of my followers are. Or you ran out of eggs or butter and you need to make some cookies. So actually my favorite substitution for eggs, for 1 egg, I'll substitute a 1/4 cup unsweetened applesauce. And I have found that is the best substitute.
Yeah, it works great.
Yeah, it does. And I should have made some vegan cookies. You guys would never be able to tell that they're
Throw
vegan.
one of those vegan recipe videos up if you can find one. So what you're talking about, a lot of experimenting, a lot of resourcefulness,
Yeah.
a lot of I don't like this answer, so I'm not going
Right.
to take this as scripture. I'm going to go figure it out myself. Where'd that come from in you?
So growing up, my dad would always say, challenge the status quo.
Hell yeah.
Ask questions. If something
Gotta meet
doesn't make
your
sense,
dad.
yeah, you
That's
would love
awesome.
it. Yeah, challenge the status quo, and he always said that if
Question everything.
question
man.
everything,
Yep.
and he would say, if I got a new job or something, question your boss. Like, why do you guys do things this way? How can I make this better? Just always be questioning. And again, my parents really instilled in us a sense of independence. So I've always just wanted to figure things out for myself. So if this flour and this, gluten doesn't work for me, well, what am I going to do about it? Right? I can sit there and be sad about it, or I can figure out a way to live my life.
What are we making here?
Oh, these are my vegan brownies. Okay, so I will say, this took me like 10 tries to get right. And when I did, I was so excited. I love a gooey, fudgy brownie.
No doubt.
And I had to...
Those look awesome.
Thank you. I had to really figure out how to get the fudgy, gooey factor, but also see how they're like shiny on the
Yep.
top?
Like
As a brownie
grandma
should
made,
be.
yeah.
Right. And
In the
this-
pan, where on the edge it's kind of burned and pulled away from the pan edge
Yes,
a little bit.
exactly.
So did you shoot this every single time you were making it to make this video? Really?
So every time
You're
I
just
mess up...
blasting through the memory on your iPhone.
Oh yeah, I have to buy more storage from Apple every month. So with this, I'm making fun of the price of eggs, and actually this is something, a little creator tip. Here I say, with the price of eggs now at $10 per gallon. So I purposely say eggs per gallon. You know how many people commented and said, "Did you mean to say per dozen?" And then suddenly I have all these comments, and people are arguing in the comments, and that's a great way to get seen.
See, that's the other thing I wanted to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
When did you start your Instagram? So if you graduated from college in 2016?
I started my Instagram July of 2018, and then I started my website November of 2018.
You graduated from college the same year Trump won the presidency.
Yes, I did.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
What a time to be alive.
Huge. Big wada.
But look,
China.
that has 32,000 likes.
That's amazing. So you put the gallons in there just to throw people out. So you're a math major, but you've really dialed in on how to advertise,
Yes.
which a lot of people, so getting people to engage is not easy to do.
No.
And whether that's because maybe your topic matter is not very exciting or it's not searched or whatever.
You know what it is? People have short attention spans.
Yeah.
Some people might not think that this is interesting. That's fine. I think it's thrilling, food and how to cook and bake. People have the shortest attention span than they've ever had in history. Because think about how many things are around us that are clawing for our attention at all times of the day. So I have approximately half a second to get someone's attention on an Instagram video. So if I come out and the first thing I say is something wrong, controversial, whatever it is, people immediately want to, no, you're wrong. Know this.
Have you thought about closed captioning some of those, or do closed cap? What app do you normally use for the creators who watch and listen?
So,
like my sister-in-law is dialed in. Like I was telling you, walking you up to the studios on your stuff, and she's working on content herself. What app do you like to use to edit, add closed captioning, and stuff like
I hate
that?
to admit this. I edit everything in TikTok, and then
Okay.
and then I will export from TikTok.
No, thank you for being honest.
Yeah.
Like, let's all help each other here. That's kind of what this fucking podcast is
I
about.
hate to admit that because I think that China is spying on us through TikTok.
Yeah, but if you read the
I would love
terms
to
and
help
conditions,
anyone who wants help. I work with other bloggers. I'm like a blogging coach on the side.
Yeah.
And I love to help other bloggers. I love to see them succeed. I just hate to admit the TikTok thing because I don't know how safe it is these days.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody's watching every keystroke on every platform everywhere. It doesn't
Right.
matter. And
Right.
the United States government
That's
listens to everything we do more than they ever have because of the Patriot Act. So,
Right,
and it doesn't
right,
matter
right.
what. It doesn't matter what political party you support. Government is a business, and the goal of every business is to grow and get bigger. Let me ask you something about the gluten-free or the vegan flours. So when I'm mixing one of those, it's hard to get that consistency right. Are you using like a frother to mix some? You mix your, well, you don't drink coffee, but you can. It's mechanized whisk pretty much.
I use like a hand mixer that you plug in and it whips around
just a
really
Black
fast.
and Decker type.
Yeah, one of those. I also have a big stand mixer, like a KitchenAid type of thing. But those are it's heavy, it's big, it's harder to video each step. So I bought a little hand mixer to show. But yeah, sometimes with gluten-free flour, it's just the texture and the consistency is a little bit off. So again, years of now baking this way, I know what like a brownie recipe should look like and what cookies and then I can kind of troubleshoot halfway through a recipe.
So coach me through my homemade ice cream efforts.
Oh, boy.
So I got a Ninja Creamy. That's my favorite ice cream right there if I have to buy it from the store. But it's still terrible because it has a ton of sugar in it, but it has no dairy. So the sorbetto, it is what it is. But I got a Ninja. This thing is crazy.
Yes. The creamy.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's so I've tried it with a bunch of stuff. I've tried it with plant-based pre-made protein shakes, OWYN. Have you ever heard of them?
Yes.
Only What You Need. Not great. There's some xanthan gum and some stuff in there. So a lot of times I make so you make your base and then you can mix it up and then you can add pieces or candy or whatever to it if you want, or you can turn it into a milkshake. And usually to do that, I have to use some sort of almond coffee creamer because what ends up when it freezes happening is it's like, is it Dippin' Dots? What's the Dots ice cream?
Dippin'
where it's,
Dots.
Yeah, it's like really cold sawdust.
Oh.
It tastes good, but it's not creamy.
Okay.
It freezes and it separates from itself. So then if I mix that, then hollow it out and put some of the creamer in there, then mix that back up, it's more of a milkshake or like a Wendy's Frosty type consistency.
Okay. I have a a remedy for
Okay,
you.
cool.
I have a recipe on my blog called Paleo Ice Cream.
Yeah.
And it's completely homemade. I also have an ice cream maker. And it's the key ingredient is full fat coconut cream
Yes.
from a can.
Yes. Okay.
So it's a little bit of nut butter. So peanuts aren't technically paleo, but you could use peanut butter, almond butter, and then it's maple
Hazelnut
syrup,
butter.
hazelnut
Okay.
butter.
All right.
Yeah, so my paleo ice cream.
Yeah,
that chocolate
that's-
one
uh,
right
Did you
Yep.
say cocoa butter also? Because
coconut cream.
Yeah,
coconut
the-
cream.
okay,
butter's a
You
good
mix
one.
in coconut cream and cocoa butter, it's better than regular ice cream.
Okay.
Wait, so what's your base on
Also,
this?
use like a tablespoon or two of vodka or some kind of liquor. It's not enough to affect you, but that'll prevent ice crystals from forming
Really?
too big. Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard that.
Seriously?
Yeah, because alcohol doesn't freeze.
So, like, you could use
get in
maybe-
between the water and the ice
Oh.
crystals will be
Wow, that's a
smaller.
rad hack, dude. What about like? Have you tried that with like rum or
Yeah,
whiskey or
anything over like 40 proof.
That makes sense. I never even considered that. Wow, listen to this collaborative
I love
cooking
it.
disco. So your base on this entire thing is the coconut cream. So you get like
Yes.
the organics one from Whole Foods. I get that too. Do you put the whole thing in there or just the cream?
I think I do the whole thing. Yeah, so that's the brand I use, Thai Kitchen.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But I use the whole thing. I like to mix it first because when you open those, it's like all the thick cream at the
Separated.
top and then
Yep.
the like milky substance. So then I talk here about like the difference between just coconut milk and coconut cream. Coconut cream's a lot thicker. And then I go through the step by step. And I mean, you can see how creamy that is. Like
I
look at
remember. Okay, I don't know why this skipped my mind, but as soon as Sarah connected us, I went diving into your blog looking for this exact thing,
Right.
and then so I'm obsessed with trying to get protein into things where you wouldn't expect it. So what did I do? I've got a collagen protein that's got a chocolate flavor to it, no sugar in it. I put that in there. I think the biggest problem was trying to use that plant-based pre-done protein shake as the base. It just
Right.
doesn't work. And it
Right.
also tastes pretty gnarls barkley. So I got away from that. But that's a big can, that Thai.
Yeah.
That's
it's
a big can. Some of the
13, 14
smaller
ounce.
cans.
Yeah, it's a good size.
So I could take that, and then what happens if you try to use like oat milk or flax milk or almond milk or cashew milk?
Instead of the coconut,
Yeah, 'cause if
it
you
will
ever-
not come together.
Have you ever tried like So Delicious or any of those? 'Cause
Yeah.
they're not terrible, but there's like this grainy texture to it.
They're just not thick enough for ice cream.
But you've found that that enough of the coconut cream, that's your only base. Then you add your flavors to that.
And
So
it
do
does
you
have
put
the nut butter, right? So this is you
Gotcha.
could use almond butter, peanut butter, cashew butter. So that does add some substance, but
See-
it really is the coconut cream.
When I was reading on a sub thread on Reddit about, and this goes with what you were saying about the alcohol, they said if you put enough vanilla extract in there, because vanilla extract,
Has
if you
alcohol.
drink it, alcoholics
It's
will
made with
drink that.
vodka.
People don't understand. They're like, oh, we cleared the alcohol out, and Uncle whatever still got drunk. They'll drink the vanilla extract, and it'll get them. It's
crazy.
like it's strong.
Yeah. Wow.
And someone was saying on there, you just double up on the vanilla extract. You can't really tell with the taste. I tried that and I was like, this is not gonna work either.
Right, because vanilla is very strong.
Yeah,
Right, you just need a little bit.
yeah.
Also, that the Ninja you use, the churning method, you put that frozen block, right?
Yeah, man.
Yes,
It's
you have to freeze the ice cream
yeah.
base
for
yes.
24
So that-
hours.
Right. Yes.
Isn't the most conducive to, because you're getting
Smooth.
big ice crystals. It's not churned slowly, so
Yeah, it's very weird when you freeze that for 2 hours or for 24 hours. You take the top off of it, and it's got this little mountain right in the middle. Like you set it in there in liquid form, and then somehow it's very interesting.
You'll have to try this and let me know.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
Probably right after I leave here.
Awesome. Yes.
I have to get an eye surgery tomorrow, so I'm gonna be like homebound for a few days. So I gotta like get everything.
oh yeah, you got to get treats on
Squared
deck.
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
Yeah. How empowering is it to you when you go, well, I want this and I wonder if I can make it, and then you figure out how to make it?
Oh, it's so rewarding. Being gluten-free and having to bake gluten-free, it's not always easy, right? I run into roadblocks, obstacles. I'm making recipes 2-3 times. And there are certain recipes that I can look back on and I'm like, that took me like 5 or 6 tries. And I'm so happy with how it came out. Something I'm still trying to perfect after literally years is cinnamon rolls. we always had cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning. And I have not been able to make gluten-free cinnamon rolls. I've tried different flours. I've tried different, I've tried taking the recipe my mom makes and just substituting in gluten-free flour. It was horrible. So that's something that I'm still trying to perfect. And I'm like, I know when I get there someday, it's going to be that much more worth it, right? Because it's been a lot of trial and error, but it's very rewarding.
Do you do any other yeasted breads?
I don't. I try to stay away from yeast. Just because I'm not sure. I need to do more research on yeast and what it does to your body. If you think about it, like adding quick yeast to something, it immediately grows. And I'm like, what does that do inside your stomach? It just, I'm a little bit weary of yeast still.
Okay. Yeah, making cinnamon rolls without yeast is going to be hard. We got to develop a yeastless yeast.
I know. I would use it for cinnamon rolls because I would want them to be authentic. But in terms of me, I don't really eat yeast.
Was there a certain video or a certain post that you're like growing, and then you grew exponentially with one certain post? Can you remember what that one was?
I've had a few go viral on my TikTok and a few go viral on my Instagram. One of them is my skillet cookie. So you bake like a giant chocolate chip cookie.
It's like a pizookie
right
kind
there.
of?
Yeah, right there, yes.
Oh man, that
So
looks
one of
really
them,
good.
I don't know if it was this one or when I posted it recently, but it got like over 3 million views on Instagram.
Wow.
And I people are on that every day on my blog. They're on this recipe. There it is. Yeah, it has almost 400,000 likes.
Wow.
So that one went viral. That was a big one. I got several thousand new followers just from this video.
When you started making these videos, were you, how long did it take you to make your first one where you're like, this is good enough to put on the internet?
Oh, they were horrible at the start. The videos themselves were like a minute long, so I thought everyone wanted to see every drawn out step.
Sure.
And now with the emergence of TikTok, you realize people have 7 or 8 seconds of your time. I just put some up there that were pretty bad to start and then try to listen to feedback. But honestly, video wasn't really a huge thing until a couple years ago. So it was mostly photos, and I was like obsessed with taking food photos with my camera, and I'm like all this like styling, and now I'm like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
People just want to see like, does this look good?
Yeah.
Does this look tasty? Am I making you hungry? Do you really want to go to your kitchen right now and make this?
Right.
I was going to say, these food photos are amazing. It's so hard to, it's really difficult to do food photography. So.
Is there like a side of you that you've discovered that's artistic that you didn't know was there? Were you not into like wood shop or art in high school?
So I never considered myself like an artist, but when I was younger, I really thought I wanted to be an architect because I've always loved home design. And so now that I'm doing this, I mean, this is way more creative than I ever thought I'd be, but I can kind of look back on that and be like, I had that eye for design and symmetry and that sort of thing. So there definitely are some parallels there, but never ever in a million years did I think I'd be a food blogger.
Do you prefer symmetry or asymmetry with your interior design or your home design?
I like things pretty symmetrical.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the math major.
I like things in their place. I like things to make sense.
Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay.
I like very clean. My apartment is very clean and tidy. Everything has its place. You should see my fridge. It's like color coordinated. Everything has a container.
It's your pantry. Does everything have the label out facing you in its own section?
For the most part,
Yeah.
yes. I have a lot in my pantry.
When you start putting all this up, you're just putting it up because you're into it and also because maybe it would help other people. Was that in your mind? Okay.
Yeah. So when I started, I said, everyone's been asking, family and friends are asking me, what do you cook? What do you bake?
Okay.
So it was a very natural start for me, and it just took off. And then when everyone started cooking at home a few years ago, it just skyrocketed, right? Suddenly everyone's like, well, now I'm bored. I'm working from home. I'm going to go on social media and I want to connect with people because there's no connection these days. And now I can't go out to eat and I have to cook for myself. And that's when I decided that this is going to go from a hobby to a business. And I started treating it like a business. I work every day on this business. And I don't just do it for fun. I'm not just putting out recipes that I want to make. It's, what is my audience like? What are people responding to? So it kind of started as, I'm just going to do this for fun. And now it's a a full-fledged business.
How much of entrepreneurship to you is motivation, and how much of it is discipline? Where I don't really feel like this, but I'm gonna work on this today.
Right.
Or are you so on fire for this still because of how it changed your life that you're always motivated to make these because you really like doing this?
Right. So I have so much passion for this. I'm one of those people who believes that I don't really believe in motivation, right? I didn't want to wake up at 6 a.m. this morning and open my Bible and then go to gym class. I didn't. Who wouldn't want to sleep in, right? So I believe that discipline will get you a lot farther than motivation will. Motivation, yeah, maybe to start, but discipline's going to keep you going. It's more long-term, right? Because there's going to be hard days. There's going to be days when your business maybe fails, but do you have the discipline to keep going when it gets hard, right? You're not always going to have that motivation. So I do consider myself a very ambitious, motivated person, but I think it's more just passion. I just love what I do.
Isn't motivation more emotional too, don't you think?
Yeah, right.
Like we always equate like when you're really attracted to someone, you want to go spend time with them. You're like motivated to go see them.
Mm-hmm.
You might meet someone else and they're okay, but you're kind of convincing yourself. And I don't know.
Right.
And I don't really even want to get off the couch for this date or whatever. There's a lot of emotion tied up in that. In business, if you really want to grow, you have to be like, you got to be dialed in on it all the time. Like you just sort of have to make the decision, like this is what we're doing. And if it's cold out or hot out, we're going. If my business is athletics, or if my business is construction, or if my business is marketing, we're just going to advance the ball every day, regardless of the externals. And part of externals is how I feel about it.
Absolutely.
How have you grown as an entrepreneur since you became an entrepreneur? How is that
So much.
entrepreneurial fire? How do you stoke it? How did it start? Did it start because, wow, I found this thing. It changed my life. I put it online. There's a lot of people interested. I'm helping other people. How did that sort of progress for you?
Yeah, great question. As soon as I started making money, and as soon as I realized the potential for this hobby to turn into a business, that's when I became an entrepreneur in my mind. So as soon as I realized I can work with brands and get paid to make these recipes, and I can have ads on my website that make money, it lit a fire in me. Like how can I reach more people? How can I make more money? How can I work with these top name brands? And then it took it from just a fun thing to a business. How can I grow the money, grow my readership every month on my blog? And it just, again, I never thought that I'd be an entrepreneur. I mean, looking at my personality, it kind of makes sense. Like I'm very disciplined. And one other thing I wanted to mention about discipline and motivation is it's really easy to be motivated when things are going well, right? Oh, I'm killing it. My business is doing well. I'm making all this money. I'm going to get up. Of course, I'm going to get up at the crack of dawn and work all the time. But discipline comes in when things aren't going well and when something takes a turn for the worse. Can you still show up every day and put your best effort forward when things, when you have nothing to show for it? So for me, I'm very motivated, but it's discipline that's day in and day out. It's discipline on a Saturday when I could be out shopping and instead I'm working. It's discipline when as I'm eating dinner, I'm typing up a blog post. So discipline comes in when motivation fails.
What do you think about the whole work-life balance thing that people really like to talk about when they create like this fake uproar about it to get people talking about it?
It doesn't feel like work to me because I love it so much. So when I'm working till 10 o'clock every night, I'm working till 10 o'clock, but I enjoy it. And like at this stage in my life, I have the time to dedicate towards this. Maybe there's a day when I would love to get married and have a family someday, and I'm not going to want to be working till 10 p.m. with kids, So right now I can put all this energy into my business and really grow my business. So the work-life balance, we're Americans. We don't have work-life balance.
Well, look, there's not a quality of life unless you've got something to pay for it with, and something to pay for it with doesn't grow on trees. Although Sohail pointed out the other day that money's made out of paper, so it does grow on trees. It's supposed to be backed by gold, but I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. If I sent the crew to follow you around for a day, what would you be doing on the vlog? You get up, You read. You have a devotional. It sounds like your faith is very important to you.
Yes.
On
Go to
that
the gym.
Okay.
I would come home, make breakfast. So I do have a full-time job, but let's say a weekend day where I have the whole day to dedicate towards my business. Get up, Bible, work out, maybe go for a run, come back, eat a good breakfast, and then I'm recipe testing. So I'll recipe test. I'll make maybe 2 recipes that day, filming everything, taking photos of everything, and then I'm doing the dishes. And then it's a lot of computer work. It's a lot more computer work than people would think. So I'm on the computer, I'm posting on Facebook, I'm sending out an email newsletter, and then I'll go on Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram, be posting there, kind of take like a mental break, do the social media thing. Then I'll go back to my blog, answer emails, that sort of thing. So it's kind of a combination of like actual manual work, like being in the kitchen, cooking, doing dishes, that sort of thing, and then computer work.
How long do you think it's going to take before you're able to only do the Organically Addison all day, every day, like you do on the weekends?
Financially, I could swing it now. This could be my full-time job. I'm able to balance my full-time job and this really well. And I'm also able to get really great benefits from my full-time job. So as of right now, it's working out for me.
How did you reach out to and connect with the first brand that you partnered with?
I emailed them. I'm not scared to reach out to people and make connections. And that's something that has come in very handy as I moved to Dallas by myself a year ago. I've learned so much through being an entrepreneur and taking those risks. And to be honest with you, to be an entrepreneur, you have to be fearless. You can't let fear hold you back. If you did, you never would have started the business in the first place. So cold emailing brands, DMing brands.
Just through contacts, contact us, and it's just info
Going to their website, figuring out the person to talk to, and then making different connections from there.
When you email them, are you sending them like a marketing kit or
Yes,
a press
a
workup of
media kit.
yourself?
Yes.
You're like, I have this many followers here, this many
Exactly.
views on my best videos,
Right.
etc.
This is who I am. This is what I do. This is how I can help you. This is why we need to work together, right? Not just, here's my pretty Instagram page, but
Right.
my audience likes this, and this is the product that you offer. This is why my audience is going to like this. I know people will enjoy this content. You'll get new followers, new fans, new purchasers, whatever it may be. So this is not only who I am, but this is why we need to work together. So be so good they can't ignore you.
Right.
Right.
Are you telling them why you like their product
Yes.
as well? Like, I
Yes.
found your product, I like it, I
Right.
use it,
Yes.
I spend my own money on it,
Right.
and I think we should work together because XYZ.
Absolutely. Yes.
It seems like there's this real coalescing of something you really like to do, something you're good at, something you're passionate about, and something that helps other people, which doesn't seem like it's replicated when you look around at people, all the people around us.
Right.
Do you get people who are like, this is so easy for you because you're a woman. This is so easy for you because cooking content is something everyone wants to look at. This is so easy. Do you get any of that?
Not often. I don't get much of that, but I will when I tell people that I'm a food blogger, they say, "Oh, that's cute. Oh, that
People
must
have
be
said
fun."
that?
Yeah,
That's cute.
that's cute. Oh, you like to bake cookies.
Do you want to slide tackle them right then and there?
I want to say I probably make more money than you do baking cookies.
Just the clap back, like to your leg doctor who told you needed surgery.
Right. I have this philosophy: work hard in silence and let success make the noise. I don't need to come in and say, "Look at me. No. I know what I'm worth, and I know what I do, and I know that it's important for people. I get messages every single day from people who have said, "You've changed my life. I never thought that I could enjoy this recipe again." Or I'll get the most heartfelt messages from people that say, "I was able to eat a birthday cake this year." Or I was able to bake someone else a birthday cake and they haven't had a birthday cake because they're gluten-free or they're vegan. Or, you've provided these recipes that I had in my childhood, and it brings back such great memories for me. And food for people it's such a connection. It's not just food, right? Like
It's sentimental for a lot of people. My mom used to make that, or yeah.
Exactly. So I know that what I do is not just baking cookies. I am in the kitchen with people, and they're making memories with my recipes, and that that's the best part of all of it. If I never made another penny from this, I mean, that's just, it's so rewarding.
Is there anything else that you stay away from nutrition-wise that doesn't necessarily show up in the way you feel, in the way you look, and how you sleep, anything like do you stay away from like cow dairy? Do you stay away from soy? Do you stay away from corn? Any of those other staples?
I stay away from corn. Corn is the number one genetically modified food in America. If you think about a cornfield, first of all, crops are not meant to be grown in miles and miles and miles. In an ideal garden, you'd have one of each crop, and they would cross-pollinate and all help each other out. When you have miles and miles and miles of cornfield, it's mass-produced, genetically modified. So I don't come out and say, I'm corn-free, because, I mean, that's just... But I don't eat corn and I don't eat soy.
So no chips and hot sauce at the Mexican restaurant?
I will sometimes eat, yeah.
Here and there I will too.
Tex-Mex. Again, life is short.
Right.
So I will, when I go out to Mexican, I'll ask if they have like an authentic corn tortilla and not just, a random brand off of the grocery aisle.
Yeah, and people don't realize that those corn chips are deep fried too. I mean, it's all
If it's like
contributes.
an authentic Mexican restaurant and they're like hand making their corn tortillas, for me, that doesn't bother me.
Sure.
But again, that's my personal philosophy on that.
What brought you to the state of Texas? How'd you end up here? Was that a job thing?
No, not a job thing at all. I work from home. So back home in Maine, when I had started working from home in 2020, I just kind of felt stuck. Everything was canceled. Nothing was going on. I'm from a really small town. And I realized that I had bigger dreams than that. And it's a wonderful town with amazing people. My parents still live there. It's a great place. The people are awesome. But I thought, I have this business. I have these big dreams. I need to live in a place where things are happening. A more lively, exciting place where not everyone is living in fear. And getting to see the majority of people living in fear made me reflect on my own life. And I thought, if I am truly living fearlessly, what would I do? I probably would live somewhere else. I don't really fit in. My belief system doesn't really fit in that well in Maine. And I thought, I've seen enough people waste a year or so of their life living in fear. So I'm going to stop living in fear and I'm going to step out and I'm going to move. And the reason that I decided on Texas is my best friend used to live here. Her husband played for the Dallas Stars. So they were here for a couple seasons and they said Dallas is the best city for young people. We loved our time there.
Really?
Yeah, they said the people, the food, the culture, just everyone is so hospitable and friendly, and your belief system would fit in well there. So I came down fall 2021 for a week to visit, and I thought, you know what? I think I'm gonna love it here. So I came home from that trip, and my parents picked me up from the airport, and I said, I'm moving to Dallas, Texas as soon as I can. I'll wait till after Christmas, and then I'm leaving.
Wow.
And thankfully, they were very supportive. They said, you have these dreams. We will always support you. It's really far. We're sad that you're leaving us, but we'll support your dreams. And here I am, like 14 months later, and I couldn't love it more.
If someone told you you have to boil down what you love about the great state just in one sentence.
The people. That's it. The
Yeah.
people. There's no ocean here. It's not anything special like,
The Gulf.
right? I'm not waking up to a beach every day.
Have you been down there yet to the Gulf Coast?
No. I've heard
It's not bad.
Okay, all
Give it
right.
a chance.
Okay.
There's also a spot down there in Houston. It's a triangle. It's a nature preserve. There are more breeds of birds in that 6 square miles than anywhere else on the globe because of the
wow.
convergence of the fresh water with the salt water.
Interesting.
There's alligators in there.
I need to check it out.
But Houston's on my shit list, so I wouldn't live there. But you go down there and visit. Yeah, it's the people. It's the
people.
attitude.
Yeah.
I think it really is the, ask forgiveness, not permission attitude. It's a lot of you're gonna strike out on your own. Strike out. That's a term. That's an oil term,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And we got a lot of oil and
Right.
gas people here, and it's like
Right.
everyone is like they're pulling for you. And then if the oil and gas guys, it's boom bust, boom bust. Then they circle the wagons and they survive until they boom again, and everyone's pulling for each other. And that's what I
Right.
like about it here.
Right.
You know, you meet people who are old or young, when they have the same attitude and the same mindset, there's this really cool convergence of collaboration where no matter what profession you're in or what topic you're into, everyone is just kind of encouraging about all that.
Exactly.
How have you found so when you moved here, were you looking for a gym and a church like your first week?
Yeah. Yeah. So because I'm from a small town, I knew that I wanted to get plugged in right in Dallas right away. So I joined several different networking groups. I joined a church. I joined a gym. And
So really intentional.
I'm a very intentional person. I don't want to waste my time. And I really value the connections in my life. And I think that's because I am from a small town. You can't go anywhere in my town without bumping into someone you know. And I remember my first few months here, I was like, wow, I've never gone to a grocery store and not known a single person. Like, this is weird. So I've really tried to establish myself in Dallas, and I've made some amazing friends and amazing connections. I go to all these different networking groups, and I'll, talk to someone and say, let's grab coffee. Give me your number. We'll grab coffee, and
I
I'll
got to
make that
talk to
connection.
you about that afterwards. The
Okay.
networking group thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so important.
it is. Yeah. So I've been very intentional about who I spend my time with, how I make connections here, and it's been amazing. And something I didn't even realize before I moved here was Dallas is a city of entrepreneurs, right? Everyone has their dream, their big goal, and they're working their butt off to make that happen. And that's just been a really nice added bonus because I'm now the same way. And even a few years ago, I would say, well, that doesn't really matter to me. But now that I live here, I can see that there's so many more opportunities here than there are back home in the Northeast.
Big time can-do attitude, man.
Right.
At you got an idea, it's good enough, we can find you the money to make it happen.
Right.
You work hard
Right.
enough at something, you hang in there long enough, it's gonna happen.
Right.
Like if you dip your toe in and it's hot out and you keep complaining about how hot you are and you won't jump all the way in, shut the fuck up, man. Jump in. Go for it.
Right.
And like you said, we get one shot, one go around that we know of. And you got to make it last. You got to make it
Right.
happen.
Right.
Are you trying from your significant but still little corner of the internet to affect the way people are thinking about their lives, the way they're critically analyzing, why do I eat this way? Why do I
Right.
think this way? Why do I hang out with these people? Why do I do this, do that?
Right.
Because you have taken that step back. Your dad said, think for yourself, question everything, and you did, and now you are where you are. Is that your approach?
Absolutely. And you'll see that through my social media.
But you show it, you don't scream it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell people how to think. I want people to question things and then critically think for themselves, right? I don't want to say, you need to believe this. I want to say, you should question this, and then you should, deduce from there. So I really try to provide many different facets of my life on social media and kind of give people a behind the scenes look with the car accident, with the move, different things that I'm doing in Dallas, and not just cookies and brownies.
Did you grow up in the church, or is that something that you found on your own?
So I grew up in the church. I was baptized as a baby in the same church that my parents were married in.
Wow.
Yeah, which is really cool. Church was never the biggest priority for us growing up. It was sports. So with my future family, that will be different. I love sports, but church is forever. Sports aren't.
Have you ever taken a step back and questioned that and looked at that? Why do I believe
Yes,
this?
yes.
Do I really believe this? Am I just buying a line of BS? Is this the way I want to live my life? Did this
Absolutely.
really happen? Is the Bible for real? Is it maybe an allegory? Is it possibly, have you done all of that?
Yes.
That's been not a blind faith
No.
or not a just take it because you said it, but it's something that you really believe.
Right. And I have friends who are Catholic, and we'll have open conversations like, this is why I believe what I believe. And to be honest with you, my faith is probably the strongest out of anyone in my immediate family back home. It is.
They really take that keys to the kingdom thing super serious, don't they?
I don't have these beliefs because it's what my parents believe. I
Or
don't
because it's painted on the ceiling of some chapel somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't go to church because it makes me a better person. And stepping into a church doesn't make anyone a better person, right? It's how you take those messages and how I can forgive people and not get angry, and that's what makes, a better person. So I don't go to church for the looks of it. I go to church because I need it, right?
It enriches your life.
It enriches my life.
It makes your life better.
Right. I feel so much peace and joy when I go to church and hearing the different messages. And I'm the type of person, I want to be the best version I can be of myself. And when I hear these messages from the Bible, it makes me reflect on different ways that I could be a better person.
That's awesome. If the people who are watching or listening to this podcast want to reach out to you, is the best way to reach out to you on your Instagram through direct message or whatever?
Yeah. So I'm organically Addison on all social media. Instagram, I'll probably see before anything else, but TikTok, organically Addison, same with Facebook, and then organicallyaddison.com. You can contact me through my website as well, but Instagram is definitely the quickest and easiest.
And the link for the blog, the website, is on Instagram and TikTok as well.
Yes.
But that's just organicallyaddison.com online.
You got it.
And how often are you updating that?
Every day.
Yeah. Is that sometimes a pain, or is that just part of it?
Now it's just part of it.
Is the blogging, the writing in blogging, is that something that's ever going to go away, or is that something that's super necessary?
Super necessary.
Why?
So it all comes back to
Track record?
It all comes back to
authority?
SEO, search engine
Yeah.
optimization. So if I were to just have the recipe there, Google's going to say, why would I send someone to this blog post? It doesn't say anything else about the recipe. It doesn't talk about any of the ingredients or any of the substitutions or what pan or whisk I should use. It doesn't really say anything. So having a full comprehensive blog post makes it more trustworthy in a search engine's eyes. So I'm not behind Google, but in my opinion, that's never going to go away.
Right.
Now, in the 10 years ago, you would see people's life story before the recipe. That has since gone away because that provides no added value to the reader, right? I used to make this at my grandmother's, that doesn't add anything to the recipe. So if you look at all my blog posts, it's here's why you're going to like this recipe. It's quick, it's easy, one mixing bowl. Here are all the different ingredients and the substitutions that you can make. Here's how to store it in the freezer. Here's what it tastes like. It's all value-added content for the reader. So the more that I flesh out that blog post, the better it looks in a search engine's eyes.
It seems to me as though you mentioned this once, so people can connect with you on your website for the blog coaching as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And will you? How do you onboard them? Would you have a call with them or a Zoom with them?
Yes.
What are you into? What's frustrating you?
Right. Let's
This
look
is
at
how
the
I can
numbers.
help you.
Yes.
Okay.
This is what you can improve upon. This is the room for growth. So I'm pretty selective about who I work with in terms of blog coaching because it is a lot of time. But I'll Zoom with them, and I've made some really great friends through that. And that's really rewarding for me. I love to teach people.
When you're looking at the insights, I'll have you out of here in just a second. When you're looking at the insights or the analytics for what you post, are there things that you post that don't do well and you're like, well, that's just because the time of day? Or are
Yes.
you a super critic of yourself where you're like, people just don't find that interesting?
Yeah.
And are there things that people don't find interesting but that you're passionate about that you keep banging on about?
So I learned within the past year or so that my audience prefers baked goods over cooking. So they don't want dinner, they want dessert.
Okay. Right
So
on. Fair enough.
I'm really passionate about eating like grass-fed meat. That's pretty much what I eat every night for dinner. But people don't want to see a hamburger on my page. So I put those recipes on my blog if people want to go to my blog for dinner, but on social media those just they don't take off. So I hardly ever post those. You look at my Instagram, it's all chocolate. People love their chocolate.
So you're adventurous, you're resourceful, you're probably always thinking of, do you have lists going all the time?
All of the time.
I mean, I do too, like everywhere, all the time.
I have like 100 recipes on my phone that I want to make.
Okay, so you're thinking of those. Will you be about to nod off to sleep at night and you got to write something down? Yeah. And I have to do that. I don't want to look at my phone after like 7:30, so I just have a scratch pad. Okay, and then are you thinking of well, that's so new. I don't want to. For example, YouTube doesn't like you to try to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
They kind of like, which is weird because when it started, and I think the reason TikTok's really blowing up is because there's a lot of real wheel reinventing on there.
Right.
That's what they advertise when they have Super Bowl commercials. If you're into the weirdest stuff of all time, there's a community there for it. Are you? Hey, if you want, if you think of it, you're a creator now. Which an
Right.
entrepreneur is a creator, is an
Right.
artist. I had an oil man say that, and I was like, that's true.
It's
You're an
so true.
entrepreneur. You're creating this. You're creating the culture. If you have a business, you grow organically, Addison, and you have a staff.
Right.
You're probably going to want them all to be fit, to be funny, to be energetic, to be, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Are you, when you're thinking of, will you think of something and be like, I don't know if my audience will be into that? Or will you be like, I'm going to throw it at them and see what they say? And how long did it take you to be like, I actually have an audience for what I'm presenting?
Right. I remember when I hit 10,000 followers, and I was like, wow, that's because back then you had to have 10,000 to get the swipe up link on Instagram stories. And I was like, wow, I'm legitimate. I have 10,000 followers. And then when I hit 50, I was like, oh my goodness. And then 100. So that's.
How many followers did you have when you reached out to your first brand?
I think it was about 10,000.
Okay. Did you feel at that point like I've gained enough momentum, I have enough
Yeah.
authority or clout or standing that I
Right.
even deserve to reach out?
Right. Yeah. So I wanted to get.
But I mean, you
to
called the
10,000.
University of Maine after a D3 school told you that you didn't qualify, so
Right.
okay.
You got to take a chance. Right.
Totally.
If
Leave
you-
no stone unturned.
Right. You'll never know if you don't ask.
Mm.
You have to try. Ask and the door will be open to you, or knock and the door will be open to you.
Seek and you will find, man.
Yeah. I mean, and when people say the Bible isn't relevant today, I mean, it's just
Well, there's a lot of ancient wisdom that a lot of
Yes.
people don't think is relevant. And
Right.
that's crazy to me because the wisest people that I know in my life are the people who've lived the life. When I go
Absolutely.
sit with them and I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, I never thought about that. Or I do an ayahuasca journey and I connect with my grandmas. And I'm like, whoa. And my perspective on everything changes because the old comes back into play. And it's not just all about more TikTok, more this,
Oh,
more that,
right,
more
right.
billboards, more. No.
No.
Like there was wisdom then. There is new wisdom now.
Right.
It's probably based on old wisdom though.
Right.
Yes, the Bible is
Yeah.
full of wisdom. Anyone who says that it's not is
hasn't
not,
read it. They haven't read it.
or hasn't applied it, or hasn't read it with an open mind. And if we
Right.
would all talk to one another with an open mind and think, when I'm meet you for the first time, might disagree with everything you say, stand for, might not like the way you look, but when I meet you, I think this person could show me something about how to live my life better. They could mentor me. Maybe the way they're doing it is a better
Right,
way.
right.
It's legitimately, it sounds so new age and weird, but it literally adds color to a very gray, beige world.
Well, everyone knows something that you don't know. So you can learn something from every person that you meet.
And as you've told us over the last 2+ hours, we don't know what we don't know. So you don't know
Right.
don't know something until you meet someone who knows something you don't know.
Exactly.
And to meet them, you've got to be intentional. You've got to be assertive.
Right.
You have to be fearless. You have to be confident. And being
Right.
confident isn't something you just wake up one day and go, I'm confident. It's because you kept bumping up against things that made you uncomfortable. I'm going to
Right.
move to Dallas. I'm going to
Yeah.
call the University of Maine. I'm going to keep running even though my calves are on fire. I'm going to quit eating gluten. I'm going to quit eating sugar, right? All
Right.
uncomfortable, and you just kept going. You got more comfortable, and now here you are. That is, that's really good.
Thank you. Did
You
you
let
like
go.
it?
I loved it. I wanted you to react to these.
These.
So
Oh my goodness.
That's a Mr. Beast bar?
look at the ingredients and stuff.
Am I supposed to be a fan of this? Okay.
No,
let's see.
pick it apart.
Okay. So
You're supposed
you
to
notice
be
the
you.
first thing he handed this to me. The first thing I did was go to look
Yeah,
at the ingredients.
absolutely.
Okay.
I always look at protein first. But
Okay, so you know what? Instead of looking at the nutrition facts, look at the actual ingredients
yeah,
themselves
read
first.
them.
The first ingredient in this chocolate bar is cane sugar. Why is it not cocoa?
Okay.
All right, okay, then you have organic cocoa butter. Okay, that's great. Organic chocolate liquor, organic milk, and organic vanilla powder. Okay, if you took out the cane sugar, great. But this is the thing. It's going to The marketing today is alarming. It's going to say, oh, we're only 5 ingredients. Grass-fed milk. Look at this. Milk.
Yeah.
This is healthy, right? The first ingredient is sugar.
Yeah, this one says 7 ingredients. What's so that would be a sugar you don't eat, right?
Right. I don't eat cane sugar.
So cane sugar is that's a new thing. Calling just regular old sugar
It's white
cane
sugar. It's processed white sugar. Now, if this said coconut sugar, then I would eat this,
Yeah.
right? Because the cocoa butter, great, and it's organic, great. Milk,
And
fine.
how effective is honey for sweetening things? People don't realize how effective it is.
It is. Honey is sweet.
Is it because you have to kind of melt it down because of the consistency to get it folded into something that it just doesn't, it's not as popular?
I think with honey, it's not frequently used.
You have
and
to
it's
be
not,
careful with that too, right? Because a lot of honey isn't actually pure honey.
Right. So I like to use pure maple syrup to sweeten things.
Okay.
Because I just love the taste of maple syrup. To me, it's very sweet.
Well, that's where you grew up too, right there, tapping
Yeah,
the trees.
right,
Is that a
yeah.
thing in New Hampshire?
Yeah, New Hampshire, Maine. I've been to a sugar shack in Quebec. That was like one of the coolest things I've ever
Really?
done. Got to see how it's processed, and then you get to like roll it in snow, and you get to eat pure maple syrup.
Thank you. That was awesome.
That was awesome. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Absolutely. That was awesome. Great podcast. Thank you, Addison, for your time. Loved it right there at the end, man. I thought we were wrapping up. We got another 15 minutes of really legit clutch hacks and workarounds, cooking info. Talk about do-it-yourself. And, man, I hope y'all are out there living a DIY life. Addison is. It's very inspiring to sit with people like this, to see people who are passionate about what they do every single day. Think for yourself. Find your own way. Be resourceful. Be intentional. Reach out. Bring the energy and the ambition. Get out there and meet new people, y'all. If you know somebody who you think I should have into the studio and on the JMP, drop me a line at Just From the Northwest on Instagram. Hope you enjoy the podcast. I love shooting them. I love sitting with rad people. I'll see y'all next time.